Chapter 1028. Ning Cheng left the mysterious yellow bead and returned to his room. The killing intent on his face intensified. If it wasn't for his powerful restriction, his room would have been opened already. A month ago, the two divine emperors who ordered an eternal realm cultivator to touch Ning Cheng's room restriction were now outside Ning Cheng's room. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor broke the outermost restriction of Ning Cheng's room. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor didn't do anything. From the looks of it, he was holding the fort. Ning Cheng opened the room restriction. He didn't wait for the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor to speak. Space Law cooperated with his domain and pressed out. After wrapping the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor with space, Ning Cheng punched without hesitation. It was an ordinary punch, but it contained time law. There was no setting sun nor dusk intent realm. It was a pure time law spirit art. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor didn't expect Ning Cheng, a Tao Molding Divine Emperor, to dare to sneak attack him without saying a word. By the time he reacted, Ning Cheng's space domain had already suppressed him. He didn't even have a chance to speak before Ning Cheng's punch arrived. Time stopped. Perhaps it was just one breath. But to this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, it felt like a lifetime. Thud. Ning Cheng's punch landed between the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's eyebrows. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's body instantly collapsed. His essence spirit just seeped out and was instantly annihilated by Ning Cheng's fist intent. This breath was indeed a lifetime for him. Ning Cheng didn't even give him a chance to fight back before killing him. Ning Cheng's cultivation level was infinitely close to peak Tao molding. Facing a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor who didn't even put him in his eyes, Ning Cheng suddenly punched and instantly killed him. Only after Ning Cheng killed this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor did the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor react and yelled in shock, "You dare to kill?" Ning Cheng wouldn't answer this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. He waved his hand and a huge axe appeared in his hand. The next moment, the huge axe hacked towards this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. Axe rune killing intent tore through the surrounding space and swept this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor in. Only now did this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor react. Ning Cheng not only dared to kill people, but also dared to kill him. Rumble. Ning Cheng's axe rune clashed with the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor's magic artifact. God Essence exploded, creating a rumbling sound. If not for Ning Cheng having some misgivings, the surrounding restrictions would have already exploded into pieces. Ning Cheng sighed in pity. A Tao Actualization Divine Emperor wasn't someone he could sneak attack. Stop! An extremely powerful force crushed over. Then, this voice reached Ning Cheng and the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor's ears. Ning Cheng did not continue to attack, he stopped. Although it was a Tao Essence powerhouse, Ning Cheng knew that the gap between him and a Tao Essence powerhouse wasn't just 1 or 2 points. If he made another move, it would mean that he was being unreasonable. After killing a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, he finally vented some of his anger. This kind of commotion not only alarmed the primordial Tao powerhouses, but also most of the cultivators on the flying ship. Many of them swarmed over and gathered around to watch the show. Deacon Xia. This person dared to kill my friend on the flying ship. He's not putting Sea Heaven Pavilion in his eyes at all. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor quickly put away his magic artifact and bowed. He thought that Ning Cheng would resist, but he didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this strong. However, he did not think that Ning Cheng's strength would be so formidable. Not only did he resist, but he also easily killed his companion. Before, he thought that Ning Cheng was only a Tao Molding Divine Emperor. With two people far stronger than Ning Cheng definitely wouldn't dare to say anything. But the truth was the opposite. Now that the Deacon of Sea Heaven Pavilion's flying ship had come, he probably couldn't hide this anymore. It was a yellow-robed man with a medium build. Although he had a faint bloody aura, Ning Cheng was sure that he was a Tao Essence powerhouse. Some of the more powerful Saint Emperors could even merge with their surroundings. There weren't many Tao Essence Divine Emperors like this yellow-robed man who still had bloody killing intent. You dare to kill people on my Sea Heaven Pavilion's flying ship? The yellow-robed man said as a powerful Tao Essence aura crushed towards Ning Cheng. Feeling the powerful aura, Ning Cheng took a deep breath and didn't try to resist it. He wasn't as strong as the others. If he tried to resist, he would have to escape from this flying ship. Deacon Xia, a month ago, I hung the words "Do not disturb" in seclusion outside my room, but these two still broke my restriction and called me out. I didn't care and just replaced the sign outside my room with a new one. Ning Cheng pointed to the sign on the side. The words on the sign were still very clear. In seclusion, if you are disturbed again, you will die. I didn't expect these two to dare to break my room's restriction again. If I didn't have some means, I would have been captured by them. I paid God crystals to get on the ship. Do you think they can break into my room just because they want to? I believe Sea Heaven Pavilion will give me an explanation. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, almost everyone looked at the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor with contempt. It was a big taboo to break someone's cave home's restriction and disturb them when they were in seclusion. Plus, these two broke Ning Cheng's room's restriction twice in a row. Many people admired Ning Cheng. According to the unwritten rules, if a Tao Actualization Divine Emperor broke a Tao Molding Divine Emperor's room's restriction, the Tao Molding Divine Emperor wouldn't resist. In fact, Tao Molding Divine Emperor couldn't resist a Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. This Tao Molding Divine Emperor not only resisted but also killed one. This even attracted the Sea Heaven Pavilion's deacon. The yellow-robed deacon glanced coldly at this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. Ning Cheng killing people on Sea Heaven Pavilion's flying ship was a taboo. However, the fact that the other party had dared to forcefully break the restriction on someone else's room on the Sea Sky Pavilion's flying ship was even more of a taboo. If the other party didn't resist, then he would break it. But if the other party resisted and everyone on the ship knew about it, then he would have to be punished. Deacon Xia, we just want to invite this friend to talk about business. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor's heart went cold. If he knew that Ning Cheng, a Tao Molding Divine Emperor, dared to do this, he definitely wouldn't have come. Breaking the rules of the Ocean Sky Pavilion. The yellow-robed Dao Yuan's tone was ice-cold and carried a sharp killing intent. Everyone knew that this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor was dead for sure due to his bloody qi. Before the yellow-robed manager attacked, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor quickly sound transmissioned, Manager Xia, please have mercy. I know where the 5-element chaos source is. He could only hope that the yellow-robed deacon would give him some time to escape after he mentioned the chaos origin of the 5 elements. Unfortunately, the yellow-robed attendant's hand only paused for a moment before he reached out. He has... The early-stage Tao Transformation Cultivator only managed to say a few words before boundless divine essence pressure came crashing down. The yellow-robed deacon blasted the early-stage Tao Transformation Cultivator into scraps. The surrounding people were silent, not because this deacon had killed an early-stage Tao Transformation Cultivator, but because they had witnessed the true strength of a second-step Tao Validation Cultivator. This was many times more powerful than Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. Ning Cheng's heart sank slightly. He did not feel relaxed at all. Before the early-stage Tao Transformation Cultivator died, he had sound transmissioned. Because his spirit sense was locked onto the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor, Ning Cheng did not know the contents of the sound transmissioned, but he could feel the law ripples of the sound transmissioned. If this early-stage Tao Actualization Divine Emperor wanted to send a sound transmission message to Manager Xia, Manager Xia's hand only paused for a moment before he killed the early-stage Tao Actualization Divine Emperor again. Ning Cheng was not sure about the contents of the early-stage Tao Actualization Divine Emperor's sound transmission message, but he had guessed what the early-stage Tao Actualization Divine Emperor said before he died. This early-stage Tao Actualization Divine Emperor might have said that he had the chaos origin of the 5 elements in order to survive. This early-stage Tao Actualization Divine Emperor knew that he had the chaos origin of the 5 elements. However, Manager Xia would definitely believe it. Because he believed it, he killed the early-stage Tao Actualization Divine Emperor without hesitation. He was afraid that Deacon Xia's next target would be Ning Cheng. It seemed that in this battle, there would only be one winner, and that was Deacon Xia. Ning Cheng's guess was right. This early-stage Tao Actualization Divine Emperor wanted to use the news of the chaos origin of the 5 elements to survive. In fact, Manager Xia had guessed it the moment he said the sound transmission message. Even if he didn't say who might have the chaos origin of the 5 elements, Manager Xia guessed that it was Ning Cheng. Therefore, he didn't hesitate to kill the early-stage Dao Actualization Divine Emperor and put away the early-stage Dao Actualization Divine Emperor's belongings. Then he stared at Ning Cheng. Someone touched the restriction in your room and indeed violated the Sea Heaven Pavilion's rules. Therefore, I killed this person. You killed someone on the Sea Heaven Pavilion's flying ship, which also violated the Sea Heaven Pavilion's rules. Since you were forced to do it, you just have to explain it to me. As expected, he wanted to take him away. Ning Cheng knew that he couldn't go with Manager Xia. Once he went, he would never have a chance to come back. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said, "Of course. After I tidy up the broken restriction in the room, I will go with Manager Xia." Manager Xia smiled slightly. Sure. Ning Cheng only had Dao modeling cultivation. Even if he killed a Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor with a sneak attack, it wasn't enough in his eyes. Manager Xia didn't care about stalling for time at all. The reason why he guessed that the Dao Actualization Divine Emperor he killed wasn't lying was because if it was an ordinary matter, a Dao Actualization Divine Emperor wouldn't dare to provoke the Sea Heaven Pavilion's rules and destroy the restriction in someone else's room. Although there were many such things, once it was exposed, it would be akin to courting death. Facing a Dao Essence Divine Emperor, Ning Cheng knew that he could only leave. He chose to enter the room to prepare to leave. He still had a bead in his hand. This bead's power was formed by the spiritual consciousness torrent. Even if he couldn't kill Manager Xia, it should be enough for him to escape. Ning Cheng had only walked into the room for a dozen breaths when a roar came from the bow of the flying ship. Manager Xia, who was waiting for Ning Cheng, changed his expression. His figure flashed and appeared at the bow of the flying ship. The flying ship was attacked by demonic beasts in the Grand Essence demonic vein. The news instantly spread throughout the flying ship. Facing the attack of the demonic beasts in the Grand Essence demonic vein, no one dared to stay in the room. As the many cultivators swarmed onto the deck, Ning Cheng naturally followed the crowd and rushed onto the deck. He originally wanted to escape from the flying ship. Now that he had the opportunity, why would he be polite? The flying ship floated between the endless mountains and forests. Sure enough, it was surrounded by demonic beasts. However, these demonic beasts didn't attack immediately. They were here for the 5-element chaos chi. Ning Cheng saw that these demonic beasts didn't attack immediately. How could he not understand? Chapter 1029. We've already negotiated with the Grand Essence Demon Vein to pass through this route. Every year, we pay a lot of spirit crystals and various weapons. Why did your Grand Essence Demon Vein suddenly block our airship? What's the meaning of this? A gray-haired man on the airship said in a deep voice. Deacon Gorge, who had just rushed up, was standing next to him. Ning Cheng noticed that this gray-haired man's cultivation was higher than Deacon Gorge's. Most likely, he was at the late-stage Dao Essence realm. Standing in front of these demonic beasts was a man with a tiger's head and a human's body. He laughed and said, "I'll tell you the truth. I came here privately. I heard that you have a lot of 5-element chaos chi on your airship. I happen to lack it recently, so give me half of your 5-element chaos chi and we'll leave immediately." "I don't know about this thing." The gray-haired Dao Essence Divine Emperor refused the tiger-headed demon's request without hesitation. The tiger-headed demon snorted, "If you don't agree, then don't blame us for searching your ship by force." This time, Ning Cheng didn't even wait for the gray-haired Dao Essence Divine Emperor to answer and sent a voice transmission to the tiger-headed demon. "You're just an idiot and you dare to ask for 5-element chaos chi? Not to mention that Deacon Gorge has a lot of 5-element chaos chi. Even this father has a lot. Do you think a beast like you deserves it? Our Deacon Gorge is a Dao Essence Divine Emperor and likes to eat tiger's penis. If you don't get lost, don't blame this father for cutting off your penis and stewing it for Deacon Gorge." Even if Ning Cheng had a starry sky sea of consciousness, no matter how powerful his spiritual consciousness was, the 2 Dao Essence Divine Emperors on the Sea Sky Pavilion's airship would immediately know about it. Ning Cheng also knew that he had to provoke them and start the battle ahead of time. Because the moment the tiger-headed demon appeared, Deacon Gorge's spiritual consciousness locked onto him. Most likely, Deacon Gorge already had a plan. Once the battle started, Deacon Gorge would kill him first and then take his things. He had to create an opportunity for himself to escape. He couldn't wait for the battle to start and then find a way to escape. Ning Cheng didn't want to take this risk. The moment Ning Cheng sent the voice transmission, the two's gazes fell on Ning Cheng at the same time. Before the two of them could question Ning Cheng, the tiger-headed demon roared, and a blade light containing the aura of laws slammed into the Sea Heaven Pavilion airship's restrictions. Just as the tiger head was about to make a move, the rest of the demonic beasts rushed forward. How could the airship's restrictions withstand the simultaneous attacks of so many demonic beasts? The barrier cracked with a crack. None of the cultivators on the ship panicked. They were all looking for an exit to escape. Despite negotiating with the Grand Essence Demon Vein, it wasn't the first time that the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts intercepted the airship passing through the Grand Essence Demon Vein. As long as they were in such a spaceship, they would be mentally prepared. Moreover, this time, it involved the chaos origin of the 5 elements, so this battle was already destined. Naturally, it was best to leave as soon as possible. At this moment, the gray-haired Tao Essence Divine Emperor didn't have time to question Ning Cheng. He took out his magic treasure and attacked the tiger head beast. Deacon Gorge and gray-haired Tao Essence Divine Emperor attacked at the same time, but his target wasn't the beast. The moment these monstrous beasts blew open the restrictions, he immediately rushed towards Ning Cheng. Although there were many demonic beasts here, if everyone was determined to escape in all directions, these demonic beasts would only be able to stop a small number of them. Ning Cheng had provoked the tiger-headed monster so that he could escape. Now that the battle started, Ning Cheng immediately avoided the direction of Deacon Gorge and rushed towards the middle of the many demonic beasts. Even if there were countless demonic beasts blocking his way, they were just a group of cannon fodder in the eyes of Deacon Gorge. Seeing Deacon Gorge rushing over, Ning Cheng snorted. Sure enough, he had been eyeing this father for a long time. With a wave of his hand, he shot out dozens of time wheels and activated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. A faint golden light flashed, and when Deacon Gorge's palm caught Ning Cheng's shadow, Ning Cheng had already disappeared from the crowd of demonic beasts. This time, Ning Cheng was even more direct. He brought out the starry sky wheel and instantly disappeared into the depths of the Grand Essence Mountain Range. Ning Cheng soon discovered that Deacon Gorge hadn't given up on him. Instead, he brought out a weapon and chased after him. This made Ning Cheng feel that he had made a mistake. He had forgotten to tell the tiger-headed monster that the Deacon Gorge who wanted to eat the tiger's penis was the yellow-robed man. Ning Cheng didn't worry about Deacon Gorge chasing after him alone. When he was still an eternal starry sky emperor, he could escape from the pursuit of Man Huishan, who had reached the full-circle Tao Essence realm. Now that he was almost at the peak of Tao Sculpting realm, how could he fear the pursuit of an early-stage Tao Essence Holy Emperor? As long as he couldn't tear through the void in front of him, this Deacon Gorge wouldn't be able to catch up to him. Sure enough, after Ning Cheng brought out the starry sky wheel, Deacon Gorge started to fall further and further behind. Deacon Gorge's face turned gloomy, and he became even more convinced that Ning Cheng had the 5-element Chaos Chi. Even if Ning Cheng didn't have the 5-element Chaos Chi, this flight-type weapon definitely wasn't simple. He started to drive his flight-type weapon crazily. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, the distance between him and Ning Cheng kept increasing. After confirming that he had shaken off Deacon Gorge, Ning Cheng didn't continue to run away. He even put away the starry sky wheel. First, Ning Cheng didn't know which direction to escape in, and second, he sensed more and more powerful auras in the depths of the mountain range. Once he reached the lair of that powerful spirit beast, he would only be courting death. Ning Cheng carefully concealed his aura and traces, then took out the locale map he had bought and carefully identified it. Unfortunately, the locale map only contained a general direction and didn't contain any starry sky coordinates. Now that he was trapped in the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, he couldn't even distinguish between right and wrong. It looks like it would be a long time before they could get out of this place, Ning Cheng sighed, and directly looked for a secluded place to hide. For the next few days, Ning Cheng stayed in place and observed his surroundings. He didn't want to run around like a headless fly before determining the right direction. On the fourth day of hiding, Ning Cheng felt a terrifying spatial fluctuation. In just a few breaths, this spatial fluctuation reached a place not far from him. Boom! A rainbow light shot out. This rainbow light split open a several thousand feet long gully 10 miles away from Ning Cheng. At this time, Ning Cheng saw it clearly. It was a fight between two people. On one side was the Deacon Gorge, and on the other side was a giant lizard. Looking at the fight, the Deacon Gorge had the upper hand. However, his clothes were tattered, and his aura was in a mess. Obviously, this upper hand didn't come without a price. Ning Cheng hid himself and didn't dare to move. He was glad that he had made the right choice. If he had kept running away, he probably wouldn't have ended up as well as the Deacon Gorge. Although he had the upper hand, the Deacon Gorge's eyes were still filled with anxiety. He knew that the longer he fought, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Poof! The Deacon Gorge's weapon once again slammed into the giant lizard. This time, the giant lizard suffered serious injuries and fell from the sky, smashing a small mountain into pieces. However, the Deacon Gorge didn't come down to collect his spoils. Instead, he chose a direction and instantly escaped. Ning Cheng wondered why this Deacon Gorge had such a high style. He didn't even want to collect the giant lizard that he was about to kill? Since this giant lizard could fight against a Tao Essence Holy Emperor, it must have a very high level. It could definitely fetch a good price. An angry flood dragon roar sounded out, which made Ning Cheng understand. The Deacon Gorge knew that a flood dragon was coming, so he didn't dare to stay. Sure enough, a moment later, Ning Cheng saw a giant black shadow directly cross space and rush towards the Deacon Gorge. Ning Cheng carefully revealed himself, and then followed behind this giant black flood dragon. He didn't want to be a fisherman. In fact, Ning Cheng also knew that he didn't have enough strength to do so. Ning Cheng just wanted to follow it and find a way out. The Deacon Gorge had a map of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. If he followed it, he could definitely find the way out. Half a day later, Ning Cheng once again felt an earth-shattering battle. This kind of battle caused the surrounding space to tremble continuously. During the process of the battle between the two of them, the ground was turned into a crisscrossing ravine. Ning Cheng, who was following from a distance, understood that the Deacon Gorge had fought many battles in the past few days. The battle with the giant lizard and the flood dragon was just one of the many battles he had fought. Ning Cheng felt a burst of joy in his heart. Who told you to chase after this father? If it was possible, Ning Cheng wanted to go and help the flood dragon. Fortunately, Ning Cheng knew that he absolutely couldn't go. He couldn't intervene with his current strength. Taking a step back, even if he could intervene and help the flood dragon, he wouldn't end up well. The Deacon Gorge had consumed too much energy, and Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was strong. At this time, he deliberately hid in the distance to watch the battle. The flood dragon's strength shouldn't have reached the Tao Essence realm, but the demonic beast's strength made it hard for it to fight against the seriously injured Deacon Gorge. Boom boom. Bang. The flood dragon and the Deacon Gorge's laurelated spirit techniques clashed again. Ning Cheng, who was hiding in the distance, understood that the Deacon Gorge was going all out this time. Blood splashed out from the Deacon Gorge's waist. Ning Cheng clearly saw the flood dragon's tail knife cut through the Deacon Gorge's waist. At the same time, the Deacon Gorge's umbrella artifact turned into a rainbow and passed through the flood dragon's body. It also rolled up a bloody mist. The flood dragon hissed, turned around, and instantly fled. The Deacon Gorge's face was as pale as paper. Although his body quickly healed, he still couldn't stop the loss of his Tao charm. Generally, as long as a starry sky cultivator reached the undead realm, they would be able to regrow their limbs. Once they reached the life and death realm, they would be able to condense their body. However, all Tao-confirming sacred emperors knew how important the corporeal body was to a cultivator. Once the corporeal body suffered too much damage, even if it recovered, it would have a strong impact on the Tao charm. On the contrary, Cultivators who hadn't reached the Tao-confirming realm didn't have much impact on their corporeal body. At this time, the Deacon Gorge's body had almost been cut in half by the Flood Dragon, and his Tao charm aura had become chaotic. Ning Cheng could see everything clearly from the side. He knew that if he wanted to kill the Deacon Gorge and get the map, this might be his only chance. Not wanting to miss this opportunity, Ning Cheng did not hesitate to rush out, as he raised his hand and a black arrow silently floated in the air. Chapter 1030. It's you? Deacon Gorge immediately recognized Ning Cheng, and his eyes twitched as his gaze fell on the black arrow. The black arrow vibrated in the air, and a five-colored light flashed around the black arrow. At the same time, a five-colored bow appeared, and endless killing intent swept out and locked onto Deacon Xia. Stop! Deacon Xia flipped his hand, and a jade strip appeared in his hand. This is the jade strip with the map to get out. If you dare to use this arrow, everyone will die here. There is no way out, and no one under Tao Essence will survive in the Grand Essence Mountain Range. Ning Cheng's heart sank. He wasn't shocked that Deacon Xia knew what he wanted in an instant, but he was shocked that Deacon Xia could still move after being locked on by his five-colored star splitter arrow. Since he obtained the five-colored star splitter arrow, Deacon Xia was the only one who could move under his arrow's lock. Although his arrow's intent hadn't completely swept out, his current cultivation was much stronger than when he used the five-colored star splitter arrow. The jade strip is for you. Deacon Xia threw the jade strip towards Ning Cheng almost at the same time as he finished speaking. The jade strip didn't have any restrictions on it, so Ning Cheng could clearly see the contents of the jade strip. It indeed showed the route out of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Ning Cheng had to control the five-colored star splitter arrow's killing intent. Otherwise, the killing intent would shatter the jade strip. Fortunately, he had just brought out the five-colored star splitter arrow, so the killing intent wasn't enough to devour him. Otherwise, he would have suffered serious injuries if he tried to retract the killing intent. Bang! The moment Ning Cheng controlled the five-colored star splitter arrow's killing intent, a light flashed around Deacon Xia. After the light faded, Deacon Xia disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng raised his hand and put away the five-colored star splitter arrow. He understood that Deacon Xia had already planned this. Once he tried to protect the jade strip, Deacon Xia would have taken the opportunity to escape. Deacon Xia would rather leave than fight him, which showed that Ning Cheng had chosen the right time. Deacon Xia was indeed seriously injured. At the same time, Deacon Xia chose the right time. If he had taken out the jade strip a few breaths later, he probably wouldn't have had the chance to do so. Ning Cheng guessed that after Deacon Gorge recognized the five-colored star splitter arrow, he reacted before the five-colored star splitter arrow's killing intent completely locked onto him. However, Ning Cheng did not feel even half a bit happy. In a hurry, he believed that the jade strip was real. However, he failed to kill the deacon and ended up exposing his five-colored star splitter arrow. The only consolation was that he was in disguise. He used his spiritual sense to scan the jade strip. There was a clear map of the route, and there were even coordinates. The closest location to him was not far away. This time, Ning Cheng directly brought out the starry sky wheel and followed the route marked on the jade strip at full speed. Without any direction, Ning Cheng did not dare to bring out the starry sky wheel and move forward at full speed for fear of being surrounded. Now that he had a direction, he naturally wouldn't have any misgivings. With his speed, even if there was a top-notch demonic beast chasing after him, it might not be able to catch up to him. Since Deacon Gorge had given him the map, Deacon Gorge would definitely know about it. Once the Gorge Deacon recovered from his injuries and set up an ambush in front of him, he would definitely be in deep trouble. Right now, he could only take advantage of the fact that Deacon Gorge was still recovering to leave as soon as possible. As Ning Cheng expected, he did not encounter the Gorge Deacon along the way. Even if some demonic beasts tried to stop him along the way, Ning Cheng's crazy speed left them behind. After flying at the fastest speed for nearly 9 months, the starry sky will finally rushed out of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. The Grand Essence Sea appeared within Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness. Sure enough, it was boundless. His spiritual consciousness couldn't even sweep a corner of it. Ning Cheng breathed in a sigh of relief and put away the starry sky wheel. He then changed his appearance to that of a bearded rogue cultivator. From the Grand Essence Demon Vein to the edge of the Grand Essence Sea, it was a desolate area tens of thousands of miles away. There were no demonic beasts or cultivators. Ning Cheng had almost reached the edge of the Grand Essence Sea when he saw a defensive Grand Array. 4 cultivators stood guard at the entrance of the Grand Array. Above the defensive array, 4 words Spirit Sea City were written. This made Ning Cheng feel relieved. He feared that he wouldn't be able to find anyone and wouldn't know where to teleport to the Grand Essence Domain. He didn't know how many years it would take for him to cross the Grand Essence Sea. Moreover, he might not even be able to cross it. The 4 cultivators guarding the entrance looked at Ning Cheng with some doubts. It was rare for someone to cross the Grand Essence Demon Vein and come here alone. Several Dao friends, is this the teleportation array to the Grand Essence Domain? Ning Cheng walked to the entrance of the defensive array and cupped his fists before speaking up in a polite manner. Among the 4 cultivators guarding the entrance, the highest cultivation was in the Eternal Realm. Seeing Ning Cheng acting so politely, they quickly bowed and replied, "Yes. The first time you enter the Spirit Sea City, you need to pay 10,000 high-rank spirit crystals. But you only need to pay 100 spirit crystals each time." There is a teleportation tower in the Spirit Sea City, and the teleportation tower has a special teleportation array to the Grand Essence Domain. The few people understood that Ning Cheng's words indicated that this was his first time here. Ning Cheng felt happy. He didn't say anything and paid 10,000 spirit crystals in exchange for a jade talisman before entering the defensive array. He had sneak attacked Deacon Gorge before. Therefore, Ning Cheng wanted to leave as soon as possible. He wasn't sure if Deacon Gorge had sent any news here, but he guessed that Deacon Gorge would be here. But according to his guesses, even if Deacon Gorge sent a message here, not everyone would know about it. After entering the defensive array, Ning Cheng realized that this was a seaside city with rows of merchant buildings and makeshift markets. There were many cultivators coming and going. Although it couldn't compare to the bustling sacred city, it wasn't any worse than broken thatch spirit city. Ning Cheng could clearly see the 3 words teleportation tower from afar. Ning Cheng wasn't in the mood to go anywhere else and quickly walked towards the teleportation tower. Wait. A Dao sculpting powerhouse stopped Ning Cheng from entering the teleportation tower. Ning Cheng quickly spoke up, "I want to teleport to the Grand Essence Domain. Why are you stopping me?" The Dao sculpting cultivator cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. "Dao friend, please forgive me. Due to various reasons, the teleportation tower won't be open to the public for 3 months, and we can't send you to the Grand Essence Domain." Ning Cheng's heart tightened and he quickly asked, "Why?" The Dao sculpting Holy Emperor smiled and said, "Not only the teleportation tower, but also the Spirit Sea City's defensive array. No one is allowed to go out for 3 months. Of course, you can come in. But friend, you don't have to worry. It's been more than 2 months. In less than half a month, the teleportation tower will open." After listening to the Dao sculpting Holy Emperor's words, Ning Cheng understood what was going on. This was definitely the work of that Deacon Gorge. That Deacon Gorge would definitely arrive here within half a month. This fellow's calculations were quite accurate. He estimated the time it would take for him to arrive here, which was why he closed the teleportation tower for 3 months. Ning Cheng felt sure that this Deacon Gorge would be guarding the teleportation array to the Grand Essence Domain 3 months later. No wonder he didn't see anyone outside the Spirit Sea City. It turned out that they had all been restricted. In other words, even if he wanted to go out now, he couldn't. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath, cupped his fists and said, "This Dao friend, may I ask where the Spirit Sea City's city master is? Is he in the city master's mansion? I'm a core disciple of the River Luo sacred sect. I have an urgent matter to attend to." Just as he spoke about his origins, Ning Cheng immediately shut his mouth. No matter how far the River Luo sacred sect was from here, the Pill's Sacred River Luo sacred sect was still one of the top 10 sects in the Grand Essence realm. Even a primordial essence Holy Emperor from the River Luo sacred sect could easily make the Spirit Sea City suffer. Hearing Ning Cheng's name, the Dao sculpting Holy Emperor's expression suddenly changed. He quickly replied, City Master Yu is in the City Master's mansion. Ning Cheng had already seen the City Master's mansion when he first arrived. It was not far from the teleportation tower. Without waiting for the other party to continue, Ning Cheng thanked him before turning around and walking towards the City Master's mansion. After half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng sat in the reception room of the City Master's mansion. This was thanks to his identity as a disciple of the River Luo sacred sect. The Spirit Sea City Master was called Yu Xing. He was a middle-aged man with a strong water-attributed Dao charm aura. Ning Cheng could feel that his cultivation wasn't any weaker than the Deacon Gorge. Are you a disciple of the River Luo sacred sect? Yu Xing stared at Ning Cheng and asked in a deep voice. Ning Cheng replied in a neither arrogant nor humble manner, Yes, I'm from the River Luo sacred sect. Without waiting for Ning Cheng to continue, Yu Xing waved his hand, You don't need to explain to me which disciple you are. I just happen to have a disciple of the River Luo sacred sect here. I'll let you meet him to see if you're telling the truth or not. After Yu Xing finished speaking, he raised his hand and threw out a message. Hearing this, Ning Cheng's heart turned cold. He didn't expect his luck to be so bad. There was actually a disciple of the River Luo sacred sect here. He was ready to take out Guahauga's identity card if Yu Xing asked him to take out the evidence. Guahauga died in his hands, so he naturally had the identity card with him. But now that there was someone from the River Luo sacred sect here, Ning Cheng naturally couldn't pretend to be one. Yu Xing's spiritual consciousness had completely locked onto him. Ning Cheng knew that he couldn't move. Once he dared to escape, Yu Xing would immediately kill him. This time, the Grand Essence Domain attaches great importance to the appearance of Planet 5 elements at the edge of the Grand Essence realm. Most of the sects have sent people to check it out. River Luo Sacred Sect is one of the top sects in the Grand Essence realm. Yet, they sent 2 disciples to check it out. Yu Xing chuckled. He had already guessed that Ning Cheng was an imposter. If he really was a disciple from the River Luo Sacred Sect, how could he not come out from the teleportation array but from outside the Deep Sea City's defensive array? Ning Cheng showed a slight smile but didn't answer Yu Xing's words. Instead, he anxiously tried to think of a way. Unfortunately, no matter how many ways he came up with, the gap between him and Yu Xing's strength was insurmountable. With Yu Xing's cultivation as a primordial holy emperor, he could kill him in seconds. How could he resist? City Lord Yu, were you looking for me? A crisp voice arrived, and a delicate and refined female cultivator appeared outside the guest room. Ning Cheng felt ecstatic when he saw this female cultivator. It was Kong Ning. Kong Ning was already an early-stage Dao sculpting holy emperor. After seeing Kong Ning, Ning Cheng immediately wanted to speak. He wanted to remind Kong Ning that he was from the River Luo sacred sect. But then Ning Cheng found that he couldn't make a sound. The restrictions in Yu Xing's room had locked down the surrounding sound transmission space. Unless his spiritual consciousness forcibly broke through the restrictions, he wouldn't be able to speak. Yu Xing saw Kong Ning come in and said with a smile, Yes, this Dao friend said that he's from the River Luo sacred sect. I thought you two were from the same sect, so I helped introduce you. He's from the River Luo sacred sect? Kong Ning glanced at Ning Cheng and asked in doubt. Chapter 1031. He couldn't wait for this Dao Essence Holy Emperor to make a move. Ning Cheng raised his hand and tore open the sound restriction in the room. Junior apprentice Sister Kong Ning, it's me. I changed my appearance. Are you senior apprentice Brother Ning? Kong Ning immediately recognized Ning Cheng when she heard his voice. She immediately understood that something must have happened to Ning Cheng, which forced him to pretend to be a disciple of River Luo sacred sect. Yes, it's me. I was ordered to investigate the situation and was about to rush back to the sect. I didn't expect to meet you here. It's really a blessing. Ning Cheng didn't remove his disguise. As long as Kong Ning knew what he meant, it didn't matter. Yu Xing didn't expect Ning Cheng to be a disciple of River Luo's sacred sect. He also saw that Ning Cheng had changed his appearance. Even Kong Ning called this cultivator senior apprentice brother. Since this cultivator in front of him was from River Luo sacred sect, was there any need to doubt him? Junior apprentice Sister Kong Ning, I have an urgent matter to attend to. But the teleportation array to the Grand Essence domain isn't open right now. I can't leave for a while. Ning Cheng said it directly. He believed that the closure of the teleportation array had something to do with this city Lord Yu. Kong Ning didn't ask Ning Cheng about the urgent matter and only looked at Yu Xing. Yu Xing spoke up in embarrassment, because Libao Chamber of Commerce also contributed to the construction of the teleportation array. Now that Libao Chamber of Commerce has asked to close the teleportation array for 3 months, I can't ignore this favor. Fortunately, there's only less than half a month left, otherwise. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. Favor? Was it an exchange of benefits? City Lord Yu, although this matter makes things difficult for you, I have no other choice. I must bring my things back to the sect as soon as possible. I hope Sect Master you can forgive me for the inconvenience. After Ning Cheng spoke politely, he took out a jade box and handed it to Yu Xing with both hands. City Lord Yu, this represents the meaning of my sect. After confirming that Ning Cheng was from River Luo Sacred Sect, Yu Xing hesitated. It wasn't a wise thing to offend River Luo Sacred Sect. Even if River Luo Sacred Sect was far away from here, they would quickly find out about it. His spiritual consciousness fell into Ning Cheng's jade box, and he quickly reached out and took it. Many thanks, Dao friend Ning. Ning Cheng's jade box didn't have any restrictions, and it contained a Dan. Although the Scarlet Heart Zoisha fruit was a Dao transformation Dao fruit, it was still very useful to him. Even if he didn't use it, he would still be able to earn a large sum of divine crystals by auctioning it off. Then I'll go back with senior apprentice brother Ning. Kong Ning spoke up in time. After she finished speaking, she looked at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng should have already known about her mission here. If Ning Cheng knew about the situation of Planet 5 Elements, then he would definitely let her go back with him. If Ning Cheng was not clear about it, he would have said it. Ning Cheng understood Kong Ning's meaning. After Kong Ning finished, he quickly spoke up. It would be best if junior apprentice Sister Kong Ning could accompany me back. Yu Xing put away the jade box and chuckled. The two of you are from the River Luo Sacred Sect, so naturally, you are not within the range where teleportation is prohibited. Please follow me. Ning Cheng felt overjoyed and quickly sent a sound transmission to Kong Ning. How many spirit crystals does it cost to teleport? Kong Ning immediately replied. For the disciples of the 10 great academies, the teleportation is half price. For the two of us, it's 3 million spirit crystals. Ning Cheng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He took out a ring and handed it to Yu Xing. City Lord Yu, these are the spirit crystals that junior apprentice sister and I need for teleportation. Yu Xing's spiritual consciousness swept through the ring and found that it contains 6 million spirit crystals. He quickly spoke up. You are the disciples of the River Luo Sacred Sect, so it's only half price. Ning Cheng put the ring in Yu Xing's hand and said, because of the urgency of the matter, we have to trouble City Lord Yu. It's only right for us to pay the full price. Yu Xing's view of Ning Cheng changed drastically. There weren't many disciples like Ning Cheng who came from the 10 great academies and still treated him with such courtesy. The three of them had just walked out of the teleportation tower when a red light descended and Yu Xing grabbed it. It was a messenger flying sword. Yu Xing's spiritual consciousness swept through the flying sword, but he didn't find anything unusual on his face. He just smiled and said to Ning Cheng and Kong Ning, I have something to do now. I'll only be back for half an hour at most. You can wait here for a while. Seeing Yu Xing leave, Ning Cheng's expression suddenly turned ugly. He guessed that the messenger flying sword most likely had something to do with Deacon Gorge. Since it had something to do with Deacon Gorge, it most likely had something to do with him. Kong Ning could see that Ning Cheng was a little anxious and asked with a sound transmission, what happened? Ning Cheng replied with a sound transmission, are you going to investigate the 5-element chaos chi on Planet 5 Elements? Kong Ning nodded. Yes, I just finished my Dao sculpting and stabilized my cultivation. So I took a task that was quite far away and used it to gain some experience. Since I'm banned from going out for 3 months, I didn't care about it and decided to stay here for more than a month. Ning Cheng whispered, there's no need to go. Planet 5 Elements itself is a conspiracy. The powerful essence spirit wants to use the spiritual roots and Tao charm foundation of the cultivators who went to Planet 5 Elements to restore their strength. But because too many people went to Planet 5 Elements this time, that essence spirit ended up overreaching, and many people ended up snatching the 5-element chaos chi. Is there really 5-element chaos chi? Kong Ning almost screamed. She came from a big sect and naturally knew about the preciousness of 5-element chaos chi. Ning Cheng replied, "It's true. If it weren't for some problems, I'm afraid that no one who went to Planet 5 Elements would have survived." Ning Cheng's words weren't an exaggeration. The reason why the essence spirit went into such a mess was that Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness was too powerful and the existence of the dark nether devouring spirit scroll. Without a starry sky sea of consciousness, even with the dark nether devouring spirit scroll, there was no way to survive. Ning Cheng had prevented the essence spirit from condensing and consumed the torrent of essence spirits attack on the sea of consciousness, which gave others the opportunity to snatch the 5-element chaos chi and escape. Otherwise, according to the steps of the essence spirit, no one who entered Planet 5 Elements could have escaped. In fact, in addition to these reasons, Ning Cheng had arranged a teleportation array before entering Planet 5 Elements. Without the teleportation array, even if Ning Cheng obtained the 5-element chaos chi, he might not have been able to escape. Similarly, if the essence spirit hadn't condensed a giant hand out of anger to grab Ning Cheng and consumed too much energy, the rest of the cultivators who entered Planet 5 Elements wouldn't have been able to escape. With so many impossible things happening to Ning Cheng, one could only say that the fellow on Planet 5 Elements was just too unlucky. "Then what's the matter with you?" Kong Ning asked again. The Ning Cheng she knew rarely showed such an anxious expression. Therefore, she had to ask about it. "The news that I might have 5-element chaos chi on me reached a Tao Essence Holy Emperor of Lu Bao Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, that Tao Essence Holy Emperor asked City Lord Yu to seal off the teleportation array and wait for him to arrive. If I hadn't met you, I'm afraid I would have had to fight against that Tao Essence Holy Emperor." Ning Cheng didn't say another sentence. That flying messenger sword had left Ning Cheng feeling a little scared. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Kong Ning felt a little scared. "You're too bold. If I wasn't here, wouldn't you have died?" Ning Cheng smiled. "I wouldn't have died. It would have just wasted my trump card. I'm afraid that I would have to head to the Grand Essence Sea." Before seeing Kong Ning, Ning Cheng had already prepared to bring out the bead condensed from the spiritual consciousness. With that bead, even a late-stage Tao Essence cultivator like Yu Xing couldn't stop him from leaving. Not to mention that Yu Xing was only slightly stronger than Deacon Xia. As for the Spirit Sea City's defensive array, it wouldn't stop him. At worst, he wouldn't participate in the 5 Realms pill meet and could just cross the Grand Essence Sea. It's just that he couldn't bear to part with that bead. That bead could save his life at a critical time. Ning Cheng naturally didn't want to use it casually. Ning Cheng took out 2 jade bottles and handed them to Kong Ning. "There are medicinal pills for cultivation and a miraculous crossing Tao pill. You might need it when you reach the Tao birth realm in the future." Kong Ning knew that Ning Cheng was a Tao Essence pill saint. Therefore, she refused Ning Cheng's things with a red face. "I haven't even returned the points I lent you last time. How can I accept your things?" Ning Cheng stuffed the jade bottles into Kong Ning's hands. "I'm afraid I can't use the teleportation array to leave. If I'm not wrong, the flying messenger sword that Yu Xing just received should have something to do with me. It's most likely sent by Deacon Xia from Lu Bao Chamber of Commerce. Even if he confirmed that I'm a disciple of River Luo Sacred Sect, City Lord Yu would still take action. He dares. If he dares to touch my River Luo Sacred Sect, he'll die." Kong Ning spoke with the confidence of a disciple of a big sect. She wasn't speaking nonsense. If someone knew that she was a disciple of River Luo Sacred Sect and dared to make a move, they would truly die. Don't look at how Ning Cheng killed Guahauga. At that time, Ning Cheng had a legitimate reason to do so. Otherwise, how could he still be alive? Ning Cheng was just about to speak when he heard someone speak up from the side. "Kong Ning, who dares to touch my River Luo Sacred Sect's disciple?" Only then did Kong Ning see 3 more people coming out of the teleportation tower. She quickly stepped forward and bowed. Kong Ning greets Master. Why is Master here? When Ning Cheng saw the three people coming over, he immediately knew that the situation wasn't good. The female cultivator that Kong Ning called Master was definitely a Dao Essence powerhouse. Ning Cheng also knew the other two, but they didn't have a good relationship with him. One was Tong Mingzi, and the other was Shan Yaotzen. This was bad. If Ning Cheng had faced a Dao Essence Holy Emperor, he would have had the confidence to escape. But now that he had to face several Dao Essence Holy Emperors, he had no chance at all. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness forcibly broke through the restrictions and swept out. He then saw Yu Xing coming over with Deacon Gorge beside him. Dao friend Kong Ning, I'll take my leave first. By the way, please help me get the things I need. Ning Cheng turned around and left. Since he couldn't leave through the teleportation array, he only had one way out now. That is to leave the Divine Sea City and enter the Grand Essence Sea. Kong Ning knew what Ning Cheng was talking about. It was the thing he gave to Yu Xing. Now that River Luo Sacred Sect had two Dao Essence Holy Emperors here, it would be a piece of cake to take back Yu Xing's things. Unfortunately, no matter how anxious she felt, she couldn't help Ning Cheng. Help me drag Yu Xing and that Deacon Gorge with him. As Ning Cheng's back disappeared, Kong Ning received another voice transmission from Ning Cheng. Chapter 1032. Dao friend Luo, Dao friend Tong Mingzi, it really makes Yu Xing happy to have the two of you visit the Divine Sea City. Please take a seat in the City Lord's mansion. Yu Xing immediately recognized Tong Mingzi and Kong Ning's master. Haha, does City Lord you only welcome people from River Luo Sacred Sect and not us? While talking, several people walked out of the teleportation tower. Yu Xing saw a few Dao Essence powerhouses from the 10 major sects among these people and quickly cupped his fists to invite them to the City Lord's mansion as guests. Kong Ning had been paying attention to Deacon Gorge. When she saw Deacon Gorge trying to retreat when Yu Xing greeted him, she hurriedly called out, Dao friend, please wait. You don't welcome my River Luo Sacred Sect. Could it be that you were the one who wanted to attack me previously? What? You dared to kill my disciple? Kong Ning's master looked like a gentle woman but had an extremely bad temper. After hearing Kong Ning's words, she suddenly became furious and stepped forward. Her aura immediately suppressed Deacon Gorge. She had been in seclusion for many years and had almost never cared about Kong Ning. One could say that Kong Ning didn't receive any benefits from her. Now that Kong Ning had succeeded in Dao sculpting through her own efforts, she naturally felt a little apologetic and protective towards Kong Ning. Deacon Gorge felt extremely anxious. He had heard from Yu Xing that Kong Ning suddenly had a senior apprentice brother, but he didn't see Kong Ning's senior apprentice brother beside her. Ning Cheng could silently break through the spiritual consciousness shielding restrictions here, but he couldn't do the same. If Ning Cheng was discovered, he could at most escape. As a deacon of the Sea Sky Pavilion, once he was discovered to have forcibly broken through the restrictions in the Divine Sea City, it would turn into a diplomatic dispute. Yu Xing naturally didn't want to see the River Luo Sacred City's people clash with the Sea Sky Pavilion Chamber of Commerce here. Therefore, he quickly changed the topic and asked, Dao friend Kong Ning, where's your senior apprentice brother? Since he's also from River Luo Sacred Sect, let's go to my City Lord's mansion. Since Dao friend Luo and Dao friend Tong Mingzi are here, I don't think he needs to rush back to the sect, right? Yu Xing naturally did it on purpose. After listening to Deacon Gorge's words, he vaguely felt that there was something wrong with Ning Cheng. City Lord Yu, he has something to take care of? By the way, he said that since you can't help him, he wants you to temporarily give me the thing he gave you before, Kong Ning said quickly. In the face of Kong Ning's request, Yu Xing naturally didn't dare to disagree. He could only return Ning Cheng's ring and the Dao fruit to Kong Ning. He even felt a little regretful. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have bothered with the messenger flying sword and would have just sent the two of them away. Now, he had lost a Dao fruit and millions of divine crystals for nothing. Someone from my River Luo Sacred Sect is here? Who is it? Tong Mingzi was confused when he heard Kong Ning's vague answer. When Yu Xing heard Tong Mingzi's words, coupled with the previous hints from Deacon Gorge, he grew even more suspicious. He simply said, A while ago, Dao friend Ning came here and said that he was from River Luo's sacred sect. He wanted to take the teleportation array to the Grand Essence domain. Later, Dao friend Kong Ning confirmed that he was from River Luo's sacred sect. Kong Ning spoke up with an ugly expression, "City Lord you can't talk nonsense. When did I say he was from River Luo's sacred sect? He's just a friend of mine. I've always called him senior brother." Yu Xing froze for a moment. Then he recalled Kong Ning's words. Kong Ning indeed didn't directly say that the cultivator surnamed Ning was from River Luo's sacred sect. Instead, she just called him senior brother. Yu Xing knew that Kong Ning's words and actions made him misunderstand that this cultivator surnamed Ning was from River Luo's sacred sect. But he couldn't do anything to Kong Ning. When Deacon Gorge heard this, he immediately knew that things had taken a turn for the worse. He no longer cared about offending anyone and spoke up, "I suddenly have something urgent to attend to. Dao friends, please excuse me. I'll come back to apologize after I'm done." After saying that, Deacon Gorge's figure flashed and disappeared. Watching Deacon Gorge disappear, Kong Ning could only sigh. She could only help up to this point. She couldn't delay Deacon Gorge any longer. Ning Qing was even more direct this time. He quickly arrived at the entrance of the Spirit Sea City's defensive array and activated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to rush out. By the time the 4 cultivators guarding the entrance reacted, Ning Qing had already disappeared without a trace. By the time Deacon Gorge rushed to the exit of the defensive array, Ning Qing's starry sky wheel had already entered the depths of the Grand Essence Sea. Deacon Gorge's face turned gloomy. He knew that he could no longer chase after Ning Qing. He couldn't get angry. After all, the Spirit Sea City wasn't his. A few days later, Ning Qing slowed down. Although Deacon Gorge wasn't in a good mood, he also wasn't in a good mood. Crossing the Grand Essence Sea, Ning Qing didn't know when he would reach the Grand Essence domain. Not to mention that he couldn't participate in the 5 Realms pill competition, he wouldn't be able to save Cheng Ho Tian in time. Cheng Ho Tian suffered from the pattern bone poison because of him. Moreover, Cheng Ho Tian was a full-circle Dao essence cultivator. Therefore, Ning Qing didn't care about wasting a few years. No matter how powerful the pattern bone poison was, it couldn't kill a Dao essence holy emperor in a few years. Not to mention that Cheng Ho Tian was a Dao transformation pill saint. Now that he was forced to cross the Grand Essence Sea, he couldn't guarantee that he could detoxify Cheng Ho Tian in time. Ning Qing felt helpless. If he had known earlier, he would have given a medicinal pill to Ba Meng. He had already asked Ba Meng to do one thing for him. In fact, that thing was to help Cheng Ho Tian bring the sky-extending Mark Bone pill. It's just that he didn't expect that something would happen to him in the Dark Nether realm. Now, not to mention how long it would take him to cross the Grand Essence Sea, the Grand Essence Sea contained many dangers. Whether he could cross it or not was another matter. While Ning Qing was still thinking about how to cross the Grand Essence Sea, the densely packed Haizi demons had already surrounded him. Ning Qing had seen Haizi demonic beasts before, but he didn't know much about them. These demonic beasts had 2 wings and 6 feet, and their main attacks were ice blades and water thorns. What made people disgusted was that the ice blades and water thorns of these demonic beasts were highly toxic. Ning Qing had only seen a few dozen Haizi demonic beasts before. But now, hundreds of millions of Haizi demonic beasts appeared around him. Even the most powerful Haizi demonic beasts had a cultivation close to Dao sculpting Holy Emperor. Although these Haizi demonic beasts didn't understand Dao laws, they couldn't handle so many of them. Not understanding Dao laws and the great Dao didn't mean that their attacks didn't contain the laws of heaven and earth. Any living creature that cultivated to a certain level would resonate with the laws of heaven and earth. Even if they didn't comprehend it, they would have an instinct. The Haizi demonic beasts were such demonic beasts, and their demonic poison belonged to one of the laws of heaven and earth. Ning Qing shot out one time wheel after another, and the power of the time wheel was fully reflected in this place. No matter how powerful the Haizi demonic beasts were, when the time wheel swept past them, it would only create a vacuum filled with blood mist. But this vacuum would be filled by new Haizi demonic beasts in an instant, and the endless attacks would once again rush towards Ning Qing. Ning Qing had already brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. Facing such a terrifying and intensive attack, if he only used his domain to resist, he would most likely die of exhaustion. The high Zay demonic beasts didn't fear death at all. No matter how many died, more high Zay demonic beasts would fill the gap. Not only the nearby high Zay demonic beasts, but as the smell of blood spread out, the high Zay demonic beasts in the distance also flocked towards him. As the overwhelming number of high Zay demonic beasts rushed over, Ning Qing killed even more of them. In the end, even some of the other demonic beasts rushed over. In just half an hour, the sea within tens of thousands of miles of the sea was filled with demonic beasts. The space around Ning Qing was filled with the high Zay demonic beasts, and he couldn't even see the gaps outside. As Ning Qing continued to kill, the debris of the high Zay demonic beasts covered this part of the sea. No matter how many time wheels blasted out, they couldn't open up a path of blood. Ning Qing finally stopped. Once the number of demonic beasts reached a certain level, it would undergo a qualitative change. Unless he had the ability to connect heaven and earth, he could wipe out all life within 100,000 miles with a wave of his hand. Maybe he could do it in a low-level law-based interface, and he could even crush a planet with a wave of his hand. But in a law-based interface like the Grand Essence Realm, he couldn't do it. If he continued to kill, he would either die under the siege of these sea demons or attract even more powerful sea demons. On the periphery of these high Zay demonic beasts, a man and a woman watched as the high Zay demonic beasts besieged Ning Qing. The man's long hair was tied into an immortal bun, and he had a jade-like face. The woman not only had a tall figure, but she also had a curvaceous figure. Her slightly tight-fitting clothes highlighted her slender waist. She had a beautiful, flawless face, which was enough to make any woman jealous. She had an enchanting figure, a beautiful face, and a dignified demeanor. The man and woman stood in the void, looking like a pair of celestial couples, elegant and refined. "Brother man, why do you think the high Zay demonic beasts are attacking this person so crazily?" The woman looked at the high Zay demonic beasts rushing towards Ning Qing and asked softly. The man called Brother Man pondered for a moment before speaking. There are only two explanations. One is that this person offended the high Zay demonic beasts, and the other is that this person has something that the high Zay demonic beasts desire. At this point, Brother Man paused for a moment before continuing. The high Zay demonic beasts are most sensitive to innate origin and primal chaos aura. I heard that a 5 elements planet appeared on the edge of the Grand Essence Realm recently, and the 5 elements planet contains primal chaos chi of the 5 elements. Although the primal chaos chi of the 5 elements isn't pure primal chaos aura, it's still extremely powerful. Could it be? Brother Man stopped, but the woman already understood what Brother Man meant. "Brother Man, you mean?" Brother Man nodded. "Yes, as long as this person stayed in the primal chaos chi of the 5 elements, the primal chaos chi of the 5 elements would remain in his body for a short time. I have to save this person." "Okay, let's do it together," the beautiful woman quickly said. With Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness, the reason why he didn't want to continue attacking was not only because he couldn't kill the high Zay demonic beasts, but also because a man and a woman were watching him from a distance. The high Zay demonic beasts didn't attack the man and woman, but only attacked him, which made Ning Qing puzzled. Ning Qing was just about to bring out the first bridge of coping. This time, he didn't bring out the first bridge of coping purely to kill the high Zay demonic beasts, but to use the first bridge of coping to cross the high Zay demonic beasts and escape. But at this moment, he saw the man and woman make their move. Chapter 1033. The male cultivator was at the late-stage Dao birth while the female cultivator was at the mid-stage Dao birth. Ning Qing believed that even if these two people besieged him, he would still be able to easily kill them. Now, even he couldn't kill the Hei's demon, could these two be able to? The facts soon forced Ning Qing to believe that these two people really could do it. The two Saint Emperors did not even take out their magic treasures. The male cultivator just took out a fire dragon spirit technique, and the Heizi demons all moved aside. Some of the Heizi demons who couldn't move away in time were directly killed by the fire dragon. The female cultivator did not do anything and just followed behind the male cultivator. Could it be that the Heizi demons were afraid of fire? Ning Cheng had some doubts in his heart. In terms of fire god art, he had it too. His maximal flame spiritual art was originally a spiritual art that simulated the spatial laws, but now he had completely changed it into a fire spiritual art. Moreover, his celestial river flame was much more powerful compared to this male cultivator's flame. Could it be that the fire dragon he shot out was even stronger than the time wheel? Ning Cheng did not try to bring out the celestial river flame. His spiritual consciousness could sense that the fire dragon spirit technique brought out by this male cultivator contained another kind of aura. It wasn't the fire dragon god art that forced them back, it was the aura that forced them back. This Dao friend, if you don't mind, please come with us. The male cultivator's speed was very fast, and in less than half an incense stick worth of time, they had already arrived within a few kilometers of Ning Cheng. Not only that, other than some other demonic beasts, there were almost no Heizi demons in the passageway that his fire dragon opened up. Ning Cheng didn't stand on ceremony, nor did he bring out the first bridge of coping. Instead, a time wheel swept out and landed not far from the male and female sage emperors before cupping his fists. Many thanks for your help. The male cultivator smiled and said, even if I don't take action, Dao friend definitely has a way to escape. This isn't the place to talk. Let's find another place to talk. While speaking, the male cultivator summoned a flying ship and flew out of the tunnel that had yet to be closed by the Heizi monster. Ning Cheng also brought out the starry sky wheel and followed behind this male cultivator. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, there were no more sea demons around the three of them, not even a single sea demon. My name is Jiang Man, this is my Dao companion Mu Yueping. If Dao friend doesn't mind, you can come to my airship. After rushing out of the horde of Heizi demons, the male cultivator stopped the airship and invited Ning Cheng with cupped fists. Ning Cheng put away the starry sky wheel without hesitation and landed on Jiang Man's airship with a single step. He then spoke up again, Rogue cultivator Ning Cheng, many thanks for the help from the two Dao friends. Seeing Ning Cheng land on his airship without even the slightest bit of defense, Jiang Man felt somewhat puzzled in his heart. Was this Ning Cheng really that careless? A Dao molding divine emperor dared to get on the ship of two Dao nourishment divine emperors? Ning Cheng saw Jiang Man's doubts, but he did not care about it. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping's cultivation level was only at the Dao birth realm, so the restrictions on this flying boat were ordinary in his eyes. Even if Jiang Man and Mu Yueping attacked him, he could easily kill the two of them. Mu Yueping also felt a little surprised, but she immediately smiled and spoke to Ning Cheng. Elder brother Man said that even if we don't do anything, Dao friend Ning can easily escape. Fellow Daoist Ning must be wondering how we were able to break through the encirclement of the Hei's monsters so easily, right? In fact, in the grand essence C, the Hei's monsters are the most difficult to deal with and the easiest to deal with. They are difficult to deal with because the Hei's monsters move in groups. Once they move out, they are boundless and have no fear of death. The more they die, the more they can be replenished. Jiang Man said with a smile while inviting Ning Cheng to sit down. Ning Cheng had just sat down when Mu Yueping poured a cup of spirit tea for Ning Cheng. Then why do you say that the Hei's monsters are easy to deal with? Ning Cheng asked in confusion. Jiang Man chuckled, because the Hei's monsters are most afraid of the 1,000 color stones aura. As long as a cultivator infuses the 1,000 color stones aura into a spirit technique when attacking the Hei's monsters, the Hei's monsters will immediately escape. My previous attack had also infused the 1,000 color stones aura, and the Hei's monsters were able to dodge to the side. Ning Cheng suddenly understood. No wonder only the Hei's monsters hid to the side when Jiang Man attacked, and the other sea demons didn't have much of an impact. This is the 1,000 color stone. Jiang Man took out a stone and placed it on the table. Ning Cheng picked up the stone and looked at it. He found that the stone looked very ordinary, but the colors on it were all over the place. If I didn't guess wrong, Dao friend Ning should have been to 5 Elements planet and even seen the primal chaos chi. The Hei's monsters are most sensitive to innate origins and primal chaos chi. Cultivators can't feel this kind of aura, but the Hei's monsters can. Jiang Man said with a smile. Ning Cheng suddenly understood. No wonder the Hei's monsters didn't spare him. However, Ning Cheng knew that it wasn't because of the primal chaos chi in his body, but because of the starry sky wheel. Ning Cheng felt even more confident in his cultivation method and senses. He believed that after such a long time, he wouldn't be able to feel the 5 elements origin chi anymore. If the mysterious yellow formless couldn't even do this, then it wouldn't be a top-notch cultivation method. Because he had been on the run, he didn't care about the starry sky wheel. After he rushed out of 5 elements planet, he brought the 5 elements origin chi to the starry sky wheel and kept it there. Many thanks for Dao Friend Zhang's reminder. I have indeed been to 5 elements planet. Because of this, I ended up being chased into the Grand Essence Sea. If it weren't for the 2 Dao friends, I might still be trapped by the Hei's monsters. After understanding the reason, Ning Cheng felt relieved. Jiang Man's eyes lit up when he heard Ning Cheng's words. He seemed to want to say something but hesitated for a long time. Ning Cheng naturally understood Jiang Man's intentions. So, without waiting for Jiang Man to speak, he took the initiative to speak. Dao Friend Jiang, I heard that the Grand Essence Sea is extremely dangerous. Moreover, the northernmost part of the Grand Essence Sea is filled with sea demons without any spiritual wisdom. Why would the 2 of you appear here? After Jiang Man heard Ning Cheng's words, he smiled. Dao Friend Ning, you shouldn't come here often, right? The northernmost part of the Grand Essence Sea is barren, but there is a secret bazaar here. We are going to the secret bazaar. Secret bazaar? Ning Cheng looked at Jiang Man in doubt. Jiang Man patiently explained, the secret bazaar in the north of the Grand Essence Sea is about a month's journey away from the Spirit Sea City. It mainly sells or trades things that can't see the light of day. Ning Cheng instantly understood and asked, is it similar to a place to dispose of stolen goods? Jiang Man nodded with a smile. Some of the treasures obtained from the edge of the Grand Essence Sea don't dare to sell them in the big cities. Therefore, they choose to sell them in the secret bazaar. Moreover, some of the rewards that can't see the light of day are also posted in the secret bazaar. Not to mention that many people from the edge of the Grand Essence Sea go to the secret bazaar, even some sects from the Grand Essence Sea and some sects from the Grand Essence Domain come to the secret bazaar. Ning Cheng understood Jiang Man's words. Some disciples from big sects had very valuable treasures. Once these people died, these valuable treasures couldn't be sold openly. Therefore, they would choose to sell them in the secret bazaar. However, Ning Cheng immediately grasped the main point of Jiang Man's words and quickly asked, Dao Friend Jiang, I can understand if you say that someone from the Grand Essence Sea goes to the secret bazaar. But how far is the Grand Essence Domain from here? Why would someone come to the secret bazaar? Did he take the teleportation array to the Spirit Sea City before coming to the secret bazaar? Jiang Man shook his head. To go to the secret bazaar from the Grand Essence Domain, one doesn't necessarily have to pass through the Spirit Sea City. Some people can also go to the secret bazaar through the Grand Essence Sea. It's just that it's a bit more troublesome. Please enlighten me. Ning Cheng stood up and cupped his fists. Dao Friend Ning, please take a seat. From the Grand Essence Domain to the secret bazaar, one has to go through several teleportation arrays. The Grand Essence Domain's Thousand Leaves Sacred City has a teleportation array that connects directly to the Grand Essence Sea's Sunken Fish Palace. The Sunken Fish Palace also has a teleportation array that connects directly to the Silver Dragon Clan. After reaching the Silver Dragon Clan, one can also teleport to the Sea Dragon Sacred City. The Sea Dragon Sacred City has an ultra-long-distance teleportation array that connects directly to the secret bazaar. Jiang Man replied in detail. Ning Cheng felt ecstatic. This meant that he could go to the Grand Essence Domain without going through the Spirit Sea City's teleportation array. Whether it was the Sunken Fish Palace or the Silver Dragon Clan, he had a good relationship with them. Moreover, if he passed through their territory, no one would deliberately stop him. Dao Friend Jiang, what is the Sea Dragon Sacred City? Ning Cheng asked with gratitude. Jiang Man still explained patiently, when the Grand Essence Realm was still in its perfect state, there were 10 dragon clans in the Grand Essence Sea. The Sea Dragon Sacred City is a huge sea city jointly built by the 10 dragon clans. There used to be a saying that in the Sea Dragon Sacred City, there are only things you can't think of, but nothing you can't buy. What a big tone. Ning Cheng sighed. How dare he say such words? Did the Sea Dragon Sacred City also have good fortune treasures? Jiang Man smiled and said, Of course, it was a long time ago. The Grand Essence Realm's laws have shattered, and the 10 dragon clans of the Grand Essence Sea have now withered. Only the Barbarian Dragon Clan and the Silver Dragon Clan remain. The 5-clawed Divine Dragon Clan, which once dominated the entire Grand Essence Realm, has disappeared. Although the current Sea Dragon Sacred City is still prosperous, it's far from what it used to be. After that, Jiang Man looked at Ning Cheng with a smile. Does Brother Ning want to go to the Grand Essence Domain through the Grand Essence Sea? Ning Cheng didn't hide it and said directly, Yes, a powerhouse chased me to the Grand Essence Sea. I can only go to the Grand Essence Domain through here. The two of us are going to the secret bazaar. Let's go together. Jiang Man invited. Ning Cheng didn't know how to go to the secret bazaar, so how could he refuse Jiang Man's invitation? Many thanks, Dao friend Jiang. I also plan to go to the secret bazaar. If it weren't for you and your wife, I wouldn't have known about the existence of the secret bazaar. The secret bazaar has many powerhouses, and there are no rules of conduct. Dao friend Ning should be careful. Jiang Man tried to persuade Ning Cheng after hearing his words. Even without Jiang Man's persuasion, Ning Cheng knew to keep a low profile. He was afraid that the Deacon Gorge would guess that he would go to the secret bazaar and wait for him there. Dao friend Ning, I have a presumptuous request. After Jiang Man answered Ning Cheng's words, he hesitated for a while before speaking up. Dao friend Jiang, please speak. Ning Cheng got a lot of information from Jiang Man and was in a good mood. He could guess what Jiang Man wanted, but he didn't know how to refuse. After all, Jiang Man didn't exchange the information he already knew. Instead, he told Ning Cheng the truth, which made Ning Cheng feel awkward. I don't know if Dao friend Ning has any 5-element chaos chi on you. I want to buy some fire-attributed chaos chi from Dao friend Ning. Jiang Man stood up and bowed to Ning Cheng. Chapter 1034. Ning Cheng looked at Jiang Man in doubt. Dao friend Jiang, there's no one else here. You and your wife have far higher cultivation than me. Since you've determined that I have the 5-element chaos chi, why don't you just rob me? Why do you choose to exchange with me? Despite what he said, Ning Cheng still suspected that Jiang Man would take out something to exchange with him. The 5-element chaos chi wasn't an ordinary thing, and it couldn't be exchanged for casually. After Jiang Man heard Ning Cheng's words, his face immediately turned serious as he spoke. Dao friend Ning, could it be that when you meet a cultivator with a lower cultivation than you would choose to rob them? Ning Cheng smiled. I have my own principles and I won't go as far as robbing others. Could it be that the two of you have the same principles as me? Jiang Man spoke with admiration. There aren't many cultivators like Dao friend Ning who have their own principles. I cultivate the Dao of karma. Everything has its own cause and effect. If I rob Dao friend Ning today, someone will rob me in the future. Karma is the cycle of retribution. Ning Cheng suddenly felt moved. As a Dao sculpting holy emperor who had been in the Grand Essence realm for a long time, he had naturally heard of the Dao of karma. It was definitely one of the strongest Daos in the world. Most of the Daos in the world had karmic entanglements. The reason why his grand Dao of returning to one didn't have karmic entanglements wasn't because he was strong, but because of his mysterious yellow bead. An inexplicable thought suddenly appeared in Ning Cheng's consciousness. He had the mysterious yellow bead, which meant that he might become a supreme powerhouse in the future. Didn't that mean that there was a karmic connection between him and the mysterious yellow bead? It was just that the karmic connection between him and the mysterious yellow bead was so high that it surpassed all other karmic connections. Ning Cheng quickly put this thought aside and said with cupped fists, I've heard that the Dao of karma is the strongest Dao in the world. Congratulations, Brother Jiang. Jiang Man shook his head with a bitter smile. I'm just putting gold on my face. Although I cultivate the Dao of karma, I haven't touched the edge of the Tao of Karma so far. Ning Cheng asked in confusion. Brother Jiang should have a Tao birth realm cultivation, right? As a Tao birth holy emperor, Brother Jiang hasn't even touched the edge of the Tao of Karma? Jiang Man looked at Ning Cheng with a serious expression and asked, Has Tao friend Ning heard of the 10 grand spirit techniques of the vast universe? Ning Cheng remembered the words he had heard before and immediately said, Is it true that Tai Chi has yin and yang, grand essence spirit thunder, grand beginning has spirit light, grand beginning has spirit marks, and grand change has formlessness? Tao friend Ning is only partially correct. Although I don't know the complete list of the top 10 spirit techniques, I do know that the Tai Chi Yin-Yang spirit technique and the Grand Essence spirit technique aren't within the top 10 spirit techniques. Jiang Man said flatly. Ning Cheng knew nothing about this kind of thing. Now that Jiang Man mentioned it, he quickly asked, Please enlighten me, elder brother Jiang. Jiang Man said solemnly, I don't know about the first and second sacred arts, but I do know that the third sacred art is the formless Tai and the karma sacred art is ranked fourth. Ning Cheng had always thought that since the Grand Change realm was the number 1 spirit technique in the 5 realms, the Grand Change formless spirit technique should also be the number 1 spirit technique. According to Jiang Man, the formless Tai sacred art was only ranked 3rd. What about the other spirit techniques? Ning Cheng asked again. Jiang Man sighed, Although I cultivate the Karma Tao, I only know about the Karma spirit technique. Even if I try to comprehend it until now, I still don't know anything about it. As for the 5th sacred art among the top 10, I also don't know what it is. However, I know about the 6th, 7th, and 8th sacred art. The 6th sacred art is the Samsara spirit technique, the 7th sacred art is the Grand Essence spirit mark, and the 8th sacred art is the Grand Beginning spirit light. Ning Cheng asked in surprise, Tao friend Jiang, as far as I know, the Samsara spirit technique is only the 7th of the 7 bridges spirit techniques. How did the Samsara spirit technique become the 6th sacred art, but the 7 bridges spirit technique doesn't? Because of the shock from the top 10 spirit techniques, Ning Cheng didn't understand the meaning behind Jiang Man's words. That is, he, Jiang Man, could comprehend the karma spirit technique, which naturally meant that he had the Tao method of the karma spirit technique. Jiang Man smiled and said, I don't quite understand this. I know that Senior told me about it. Maybe the 7 bridges spirit technique is the 9th sacred art, or even the 10th. Ning Cheng didn't ask again. He knew that since the Samsara spirit technique was placed as the 6th sacred art, then the 7 bridges spirit technique would never enter the top 10. Tao friend Jiang, I do have a little bit of the 5-element chaos chi. But even if I sell it to Tao friend Jiang doesn't have anything to store it. Ning Cheng finally answered Jiang Man's words. Jiang Man was a person worth trading with. Ning Cheng didn't say how much he needed to exchange for the 5-element chaos chi. He knew that since Jiang Man cultivated the Tao of Karma, he wouldn't treat him badly. Jiang Man took out a black strip made of unknown materials and handed it to Ning Cheng. Tao friend Ning, this is the Karma Tao strip I obtained. It contains the Karma spirit technique. I want to lend this Tao strip to Brother Ning for 10,000 years in exchange for a trace of fire-attributed chaos chi. Brother Man. Mu Yueping on the side, on seeing Jiang Man take out the black strip, called out in surprise. She knew that this was the most valuable thing on Jiang Man. Ning Cheng looked at the black Tao strip in Jiang Man's hand with a sluggish look. If this really was the Karma Tao strip, then his trace of fire-attributed chaos chi was far from enough to exchange. Even if there was a time limit, it still wouldn't be enough. Jiang Man had said that the Karma spirit technique was the 4th most powerful spirit technique in the vast universe. Jiang Man waved his hand at Mu Yueping and spoke to Ning Cheng with a smile. Tao friend Ning, I cultivated the Tao of Karma because of this Tao strip. The origin of this Tao strip is unknown, but I'm sure that this Tao strip contains the Karma spirit technique. It's just that my aptitude is poor, and even after tens of thousands of years, I still couldn't obtain it. I can use this Tao strip for 10,000 years in exchange for a trace of fire-attributed chaos chi from Tao friend Ning, which is a bargain. Ning Cheng didn't take the Tao strip but asked in a deep voice, Dao friend Jiang, how will I return this Dao strip to you after 10,000 years? Jiang Man felt satisfied with Ning Cheng's words and nodded. I cultivate the karma spirit technique, and this Dao strip contains my karma imprint. After 10,000 years, this Dao strip will automatically escape from Brother Ning's hands and return to me. Ning Cheng showed a smile at the corner of his mouth. This Jiang Man truly had confidence in himself. Did he believe that he couldn't crack his karma imprint in 10,000 years? Besides, even if he couldn't crack it, he could just throw the Dao strip into the mysterious yellow bead, and the Dao strip wouldn't escape. However, Ning Cheng didn't intend to do so. If he couldn't comprehend the karma spirit technique in 10,000 years, then this Dao strip would have no use for him. Besides, the two sides had completed the transaction in a fair and proper manner, so he would never do such a shameless thing. Then how can I hand over the fire-attributed chaos chi to Dao friend Jiang? Ning Cheng appreciated Jiang Man's trading method. This was a completely honest transaction. Jiang Man didn't ask him how much fire-attributed chaos chi he wanted and gave him the initiative. Jiang Man spoke with a dignified voice. It will take a month to reach the secret bazaar from here. Brother Ning just needs to inject a trace of chaos chi into my Zifu. Ning Cheng agreed without hesitation. 1 month was enough for Jiang Man to refine the trace of fire-attributed chaos chi. May I ask what is Dao friend Mu's main spiritual root? Ning Cheng didn't directly bring out the fire-attributed chaos chi, but instead asked Mu Yueping. Mu Yueping spoke up in doubt. I have a main metal spiritual root. Ning Cheng immediately spoke up. Well, I'll use a trace of fire origin chaos chi and a trace of metal origin chaos chi in exchange for Brother Jiang's karma Dao strip for 10,000 years. When Jiang Man heard Ning Cheng's words, he understood that Ning Cheng didn't want to take advantage of him. In fact, he knew that Ning Cheng didn't want to take advantage of him. The karma spirit technique had a huge reputation, but it was too difficult to comprehend it. He said that his aptitude was poor, but so far, he really hadn't seen anyone with a better aptitude than him, Jiang Man. Even he couldn't comprehend the karma spirit technique after tens of thousands of years, so how could Ning Cheng comprehend it? Then wouldn't we husband and wife? Jiang Man had a good impression of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng waved his hand and said, Dao friend Jiang is too polite, but I can't be too stingy. Dao friend Jiang and Dao friend Mu should prepare to accept the 5-element chaos chi. Brother man, I'll accept it later. Mu Yueping quickly spoke up. When Ning Cheng heard Mu Yueping's words, he immediately understood Mu Yueping's meaning. Mu Yueping felt afraid that the two of them would fall into the process of refining the 5-element chaos chi. Jiang Man also understood Mu Yueping's meaning. He waved his hand and said, No need. I'll have to trouble Dao friend Ning to protect us while we refine the 5-element chaos chi. After that, Jiang Man also took out a positional jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng. At the same time, he also handed over the control of the airship to Ning Cheng. Jiang Man said these words and did these things because he believed in Ning Cheng's character. Moreover, he believed that even if Ning Cheng had any ulterior motives, he could stop him in time. Refining the 5-element chaos chi wasn't like going into seclusion. Mu Yueping listened to Jiang Man's words and understood Jiang Man's meaning. She nodded and said, Okay, then I'll have to trouble Dao friend Ning. Ning Cheng didn't say much. He directly took out the measureless gourd, grabbed a fire-attributed chaos chi from it, and slapped it into Jiang Man's glabella. Then he grabbed a metal-attributed chaos chi and slapped it into Mu Yueping's glabella. Feeling the primal chaos aura coming from Ning Cheng, Jiang Man felt overjoyed. It was much more than what he had said. But before he could thank Ning Cheng, the raging fire-attributed chaos chi rushed into his Zifu. At this moment, he found that apart from refining the chaos chi, he couldn't do anything else. Jiang Man's heart sank slightly, and the joy he felt just now had long since disappeared. He saw that Mu Yueping, just like him, couldn't stand up at all. In other words, if Ning Cheng made a move now, he and Mu Yueping wouldn't have the slightest ability to resist. Ning Cheng giving out so much 5-element chaos chi at once put him and his wife in a predicament. He couldn't help but doubt it. Chapter 1035. Jiang Man's suspicions quickly subsided because he saw that Ning Qing didn't do anything to him and his wife. Instead, he walked to the deck of the airship and stared at the endless Grand Essence Sea. He and Mu Yueping glanced at each other and quickly closed their eyes, concentrating on refining this supreme opportunity that they had inadvertently obtained. Regardless of whether Ning Qing had any bad intentions or not, they could not make a decision for him right now. Half a month passed by quickly. Ning Qing followed the route given to him by Jiang Man, and unexpectedly encountered very few sea demons along the way. Occasionally, there were a few sea demons, but Ning Qing easily killed them. However, this ship wasn't his, so he couldn't increase its speed. "Brother Ning, if you think highly of me, Jiang Man, then we can be best friends in the future." Hearing Jiang Man's grateful voice from behind, Ning Qing understood that Jiang Man had completely refined and absorbed the fire-attributed primal chaos chi. He turned around, cupped his fists and said, "Congratulations to Brother Jiang for your great improvement in cultivation. Since Brother Jiang has said so, we are friends from now on." Saying that, Ning Qing removed the disguise on his face and spoke, "Since we are friends, then naturally I will let Elder Brother Jiang see my original appearance. I'm only acting like this to avoid being hunted down by others." Jiang Man's character was still very trustworthy to Ning Qing. As such, Ning Qing naturally would not refuse to make friends with Jiang Man. Over the years, he had offended many powerful enemies, but he had also made many friends. Not to mention the graceful star mainlands Tsang Wei, Tai Shu Shi, Meng Jingxiu, Lan Shu, Fu Xingnan, and the others, even the starry skies Jing Wuming, Pan Qian, Lanya, Song Caihe, and the others were all life and death friends. After coming to the Grand Essence Realm, he got to know Qi Shizengxing, Cheng Hotian, Lu Fonglin, Kong Ning Ruoxi Ba Meng, Lan Ruoli, Jian Sanshan, and others. The Jiang Man in front of him was obviously someone worth befriending. I said that Big Brother Ning had a scholarly aura around him. How could he have a full beard on his face, hee. Mu Yueping's soft laughter arrived. Apparently, she had also refined the metal-attributed origin chi. Since Ning Qing and Jiang Man became friends, Mu Yueping naturally changed the way she addressed Ning Qing as elder brother. The five-element chaos chi had greatly improved their strength. Jiang Man had directly reached the peak Dao birth, and this was just his superficial cultivation level. It was obvious how much the fire element chaos chi had affected him. Although Mu Yueping had not reached the late-stage Dao birth, her Dao birth Dao runes had strengthened a lot. After refining the chaos chi of the five elements, the three of them did not hide anything from each other. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping had always been cultivating in the Grand Essence Realm. Although both of them were rogue cultivators, the inheritances they obtained were by no means trivial. Since they could survive in the Grand Essence Sea and reach the Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor Realm, one could only imagine their strength. It was definitely not a cultivation machine that only knew how to cultivate in seclusion. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping also knew that Ning Qing was an alchemy master, but they didn't know that Ning Qing was a primordial Dao alchemy saint. The reason why he did not ask about it was because he knew that with Ning Qing's cultivation and age, his level of alchemy would not be high. Ning Qing learned a lot about the Grand Essence Sea from Jiang Man and Mu Yueping. The three of them chatted merrily as half a month passed by. "Brother Ning, in front of us is the entrance to the secret bazaar. Since this is your first time here, I will be your guarantor," Jiang Man said as he slowed down the airship. "All right." After chatting with everyone for more than 10 days, Ning Qing already had a clear understanding of the secret bazaar. The first time he came here, he would need someone to introduce him or guarantee him. Otherwise, he would have to pay 5 million spirit crystals. If he wasn't familiar with someone, no one would help him guarantee him. Because if he caused trouble in the secret bazaar, if the secret bazaar couldn't find him, it would directly look for his guarantor. If it weren't for Jiang Man leading the way, Ning Qing felt sure that he wouldn't have found the entrance to the secret bazaar. The place where Jiang Man stopped was a plain and unremarkable sea. There were no array formations or any special markings on the surface of the sea. Jiang Man could find this place only because the jade card in his hand pointed him to this location. Actually, The entrance to the secret bazaar changes frequently. If we want to come to the secret bazaar, we only need this jade card in our hand. After Jiang Man finished speaking to Ning Cheng, he raised his hand and brought out the jade card. On the originally calm sea surface, a teleportation platform suddenly appeared. Ning Cheng and the other two walked onto the platform, and the jade card that Jiang Man brought out once again turned into a ray of light. Then, the jade card fell into Jiang Man's hand. After the ray of light flickered, Ning Cheng and the other two disappeared. The sea surface where the three of them had stood before once again became the same as before. Such rich spirit qi. After Ning Cheng walked out of the teleportation array, he spoke with some surprise. He didn't expect that a place where people traded in secret would have such rich spirit qi. He was surrounded by black streets, and he could only see the range in front of him with his eyes. The places further away were completely blocked by shielding restrictions. In fact, many people live in the secret bazaar for a long time and cultivate here. As such, the spirit qi here is naturally abundant. Jiang Man explained while winking at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng knew that although no one came looking for him, he was already being watched. Jiang Man wanted to take him to the secret bazaar's identity card. Jiang Man was reminding him not to comment on other things before this. With Jiang Man as a guarantor, Ning Cheng easily got the identity card for the secret bazaar. Ning Cheng didn't want to delay Jiang Man's matters. After getting the identity card, he said, "Brother Jiang, you can go to the secret bazaar to do your thing. With the identity card, I can teleport to the Sea Dragon Sacred City by myself." Jiang Man said with a solemn expression, "We were just trading, but now we're friends. Since someone is chasing you, I should accompany you to the Sea Dragon Sacred City." Ning Cheng smiled and said, "As long as there's a way to teleport away from here, I won't be afraid of the guy chasing me. No matter how bold he is, he wouldn't dare to chase me to the Grand Essence Domain." Ning Cheng didn't talk big. With his current reputation, no one would dare to make a move against him in public, let alone an early-stage minor Dao Essence on the edge of the Grand Essence Sea. "Big Brother Ning, you should listen to Brother Man. After all, you haven't reached the Dao Birth Realm yet, and Brother Man is about to reach the full circle of the Dao Birth Realm." Even Mu Yueping on the side began to persuade Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng felt a little helpless. He couldn't say that although he was a Dao sculpting cultivator, he wouldn't fear the two of them together. "Brother Jiang, Junior Apprentice Sister Mu, you saw my flight-type weapon before. If I go alone, my flight-type weapon can move faster. Besides, the person I offended is a Dao Essence powerhouse. Even if the three of us joined forces, we wouldn't be his opponent." Ning Cheng's words were tantamount to saying that if my enemy chased me, it would be a Dao Essence powerhouse. Even if the three of us joined forces, it wouldn't help. Even if you followed me, you wouldn't be able to help. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping immediately understood Ning Cheng's meaning. The two hesitated but didn't say anything to accompany Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was right. If they faced a Dao Essence Holy Emperor, even if the two of them joined forces, they would still die. On the contrary, it would be easier for Ning Cheng to escape alone. "Okay, then we'll send you to the teleportation array." Jiang Man was very straightforward. After understanding the truth, he immediately sent Ning Cheng away. The Black Market's teleportation array to the Sea Dragon Sacred City wasn't used much because the price was even more outrageous compared to the Spirit Sea City. Just teleporting from the Black Market to the Sea Dragon Sacred City required 5 million spirit crystals. After a few more teleportations, even without 10 million spirit crystals, it would still be quite far. "Brother Ning, you can go to the teleportation array. In a few years, we might also go to the Grand Essence Domain." Jiang Man and Mu Yueping sent Ning Cheng to the teleportation array. Ning Cheng took out a jade bottle and handed it to Jiang Man. "Brother Jiang, Junior Apprentice Sister Mu, we'll meet again. I'm an alchemy master, so I'll give these 2 medicinal pills to you." Jiang Man didn't care about it. He took the jade bottle and watched Ning Cheng leave. "Brother Man, what kind of person do you think Big Brother Ning is?" After seeing Ning Cheng off, Mu Yueping asked in a low voice. Jiang Man smiled and said, "Ning Cheng is open and above board. He's completely different from those unscrupulous people we've seen before. For him to obtain that thing, he's also a person with great luck. Becoming friends with him is my biggest gain from this trip to the secret bazaar. While talking, Jiang Man casually opened the jade bottle, but the next moment, he instantly closed the jade bottle. What's wrong? Mu Yueping and Jiang Man had a tacit understanding. It's 2 purple heaven Dao pills. Jiang Man replied. The teleportation array from the secret bazaar to the Sea Dragon Sacred City was definitely an ultra-long-distance teleportation array. Even with Ning Cheng's cultivation, he still felt dizzy. As soon as Ning Cheng walked out of the teleportation array, he felt the prosperity of the Sea Dragon Sacred City that Jiang Man spoke about. Before this, the most prosperous sacred city Ning Cheng had ever seen was the Heaven Essence Sacred City. After coming to the Sea Dragon Sacred City and seeing the scenery here, Ning Cheng felt sure that the Heaven Essence Sacred City wasn't as prosperous as the Sea Dragon Sacred City. This was the scene after the Grand Essence Realm's laws shattered and the Grand Essence Sea's 10 major dragon clans withered. Through this scene, Ning Cheng could already imagine how prosperous the Sea Dragon Sacred City was many years ago when the 10 major dragon clans were still around. Kneel. A sharp voice sounded from the distant street, and Ning Cheng saw the people around him step aside. In the middle of the spacious old street, a woman riding a flood dragon beast was whipping a tall man with disheveled hair. From the looks of it, the word kneel came from the woman riding the flood dragon beast. Most likely, the tall man with disheveled hair had offended her. Ning Cheng didn't care about it. There were too many such things and he wasn't qualified to care about them. Because the teleportation array leading from the Sea Dragon Sacred City to the Silver Dragon Clan was not the same as the teleportation array leading to the Secret Bazaar. What he needed to do now was to reach the teleportation array leading to the Silver Dragon Clan as soon as possible. Just when Ning Cheng was about to turn around, he suddenly recognized the tall man with disheveled hair. He remembered that this fellow's name was Mo and should be an ascetic monk type of martial cultivator. He had heard others say that Mo never caused trouble. He would only take action when others bullied him and he couldn't take it anymore. Ning Cheng's gaze swept over Mo. He still had disheveled hair, was barefoot, and wore linen robes. He carried an iron rod on his back and had a gourd around his waist. Ning Cheng couldn't help but think that he hadn't changed at all since the first time he saw him. Although he had never spoken to martial cultivator Mo, Ning Cheng had always had a good impression of him. It was all because of Pan Qian. Ning Cheng always felt that Mo and Pan Qian were the same kind of people. Ning Cheng didn't expect that a martial cultivator like Mo could come this far and even reach the Sea Dragon Sacred City. Chapter 1036. Originally, Ning Cheng didn't intend to make a move. But after seeing that this person was Mo, he immediately changed his mind. Mo's cultivation should be equivalent to the full circle eternal realm, while the woman riding the flood dragon should be at the middle stage Dao sculpting realm. No matter how powerful a martial cultivator was, Mo shouldn't be able to fight against a middle stage Dao sculpting realm cultivator with his eternal cultivation. Facing the woman's command to kneel, Mo just closed his mouth and didn't say a word. The woman's eyes showed a trace of sarcasm, and the whip came down again. If one were to say that the previous whip was just to give Mo some physical pain, then this whip would definitely be able to break one of Mo's arms. The whip contained the Dao charm laws. If it lashed out at a cultivator equivalent to the eternal realm, it would be strange if it didn't tear off an arm. Although Mo was just a martial cultivator, he obviously had extraordinary knowledge. When he saw the whip, he knew that he had lost an arm. But he still didn't move and even closed his eyes. Perhaps he knew that even if he moved, he couldn't move. When the whip landed, there was no sound at all. Even Mo opened his eyes in disbelief. The cultivators around them were silent, and no one spoke at this time. Everyone stared at the whip, because the whip of the Dao sculpting woman riding on the flood dragon beast did not hit Mo. Her whip had been grabbed by someone. A Dao sculpting holy emperor's whip that contained laws of Dao charm fell without a sound. How could this person be weak? This person was at least a late-stage Dao nourishment holy emperor, or even stronger. The woman holding the whip was also shocked. She sobered up after a while and said in anger, Who are you? How dare you stop me? Ning Cheng's hand shook, and the woman's whip fell into his hand. Forgive people when possible. Why is Dao friend so aggressive? Or you? The woman finally calmed down and stared at Ning Cheng calmly. At the same time, she urged the flood dragon beast to take a few steps back. She was afraid that Ning Cheng would suddenly attack her. Ning Cheng said with a calm voice, "A rogue cultivator. He's my friend. I don't know how he offended Dao friend. I don't think Dao friend lost anything, so let's just forget about it." Hearing Ning Cheng say that he was Mo's friend and a rogue cultivator, the woman's expression suddenly turned fierce. She raised her hand and threw out a beam of red light. She then said, "If you don't scram in 3 breaths, then you can die with this ant." If Ning Cheng was a disciple of a major academy, then she would have some fear, but a rogue cultivator also dared to meddle in her affairs? She naturally did not think that Ning Cheng was lying. Any disciple of an academy, in this kind of situation, would not say that they were rogue cultivators, as this was related to the face of the academy. If Ning Cheng said that he was a rogue cultivator, then he really was a rogue cultivator. Ning Cheng's complexion turned cold, as he suddenly clasped his hands together. The long whip that he had snatched from his hands suddenly gave out a burst of crackling sounds. A moment later, the long whip turned into a pile of slag as Ning Cheng threw it onto the street. "If you dare to make a move again, then this whip will be your head." After Ning Cheng melted the whip with his flames, his tone turned ice cold. As such, Ning Cheng naturally knew that there was only one way to deal with unreasonable cultivators, and that was to be even more unreasonable than the other party. The woman sucked in a breath of cold air. She guessed that Ning Cheng was most likely a Dao Nourishment late-stage holy emperor. Her long whip was a mid-grade god artifact after all. Who could casually turn a mid-grade god artifact into scraps? Turning a middle-grade divine artifact into slag casually, apart from having a strong cultivation level, could also be done by an artifact crafting master. Artifact crafting masters knew the structure of divine artifacts like the back of their hands, so they could naturally do it. Ning Cheng, on the other hand, was a high-level artifact crafting master. He could also casually refine middle-grade divine artifacts, let alone destroy an ordinary middle-grade divine artifact. The woman did not dare to speak again, while the people around her marveled at Ning Cheng's strength. "Junior sister Xiuqian, what's going on?" 3 figures landed next to the woman riding the flood dragon beast. The one who asked was a young man with half silver hair and half red hair. There were 2 women next to the man, one of whom wore a veil over her face and had an indifferent expression. The other woman was tall and slender, and she also had a head of silver hair. To Ning Cheng's surprise, he knew the indifferent woman with a veil over her face. She was from the Sunken Fish Palace. This woman had gone to his place with Sun Rushuan and Zhongming Yuxiu and asked him for 2 Bodhi pills. Among the 3 people who came, the woman with the veil over her face had the highest cultivation level at the early stage Dao transformation realm. In addition, the silver-haired young man was at the mid-stage Dao birth realm. The other tall silver-haired woman had the same cultivation level as junior sister Xiuqian, who was riding the flood dragon beast. They were both at the mid-stage Dao modeling realm. "This person wants to teach me a lesson. He destroyed my whip." Upon seeing these people come over, the woman riding the flood dragon beast immediately removed the fear on her face. She flew down and stood in the middle of the 3 people before pointing at Ning Cheng. Upon hearing what the woman called Xiuqian said, the red-haired man walked out. He cupped his fists at Ning Cheng and said, "I'm Gong Qi from the Silver Dragon clan. Why did you attack junior sister Xiuqian from the Sunken Fish Palace? Why did you destroy her Dharma treasure?" Ning Cheng seemed to be at the late-stage Dao modeling realm, but Gong Qi did not dare to be careless. Sure enough, he was from the Silver Dragon clan. Ning Cheng from the Silver Dragon clan knew Gong Huayu and the silver-haired woman. They could even be considered friends. Gong Qi told them about his background and Xiuqian's background. Apart from the mysterious very ancient clan, which never came out, in the Grand Essence Sea, the Silver Dragon clan and the Sunken Fish Palace were powerful existences second only to the Barbarian Dragon clan. They were also among the top 10 sects of the Grand Essence realm. Gong Qi naturally wanted Ning Cheng to report his background. If they were both from the big sects, everyone would naturally negotiate with each other. In fact, Gong Qi also thought that Ning Cheng's origin was not ordinary. Would an ordinary person dare to meddle in the affairs of the Sea Dragon's sacred city? Did he think that he had lived enough? This is all my fault, it's not this friend's fault. I accidentally startled that flood dragon beast. If there's anything, come at me. Mo, who had not spoken, suddenly stepped forward. He had been in the Sea Dragon's sacred city for a long time. How could he not know the power of the Silver Dragon clan and the Sunken Fish Palace? He did not want to implicate Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was a rogue cultivator like him. Once he offended these two sects, he might not even be able to reincarnate. Ning Cheng was about to speak when his eyes suddenly twitched. He saw Deacon Xia in the crowd. This guy was really persistent. He actually chased him all the way to the Sea Dragon's sacred city. When Ning Cheng looked at Deacon Xia was still staring at Ning Cheng. He did not act rashly. Instead, he stood in the crowd and watched the show. Ning Cheng's heart sank. He knew that Deacon Xia had recognized him. If not for Mo, Ning Cheng was sure that he would have teleported away by now. As long as he was a step faster than Deacon Xia, it would be fine. Now that he was delayed because of Mo, this guy actually caught up. Since Deacon Xia could chase him all the way here, it meant that he was determined not to let Ning Cheng leave the Sea Dragon sacred city. Ning Cheng was sure that once his conflict with the Silver Dragon clan and the Sunken Fish Palace ended, Deacon Xia would take the initiative to find trouble with him and then take the opportunity to take him away. Even if the conflict was too intense, Deacon Xia would appear to help and take him away. After hesitating for a while, Ning Cheng sent a message to Ba Meng. Among his good friends, apart from Cheng Hotian, only Ba Meng had the highest cultivation. Cheng Hotian was still poisoned and was in Heaven Essence sacred city. Even if Ning Cheng wanted to ask him for help, there was no other way. Ba Meng had always been in the Grand Essence Sea, so maybe he could come here faster. Although Ba Meng was a half-step Dao Essence cultivator, it wasn't because he didn't have enough accumulation of Dao Essence, but because his Dao heart couldn't be perfected. It was all because of his son Ba Luo. In the Dark Nether realm, Ning Cheng had given Ba Meng a 6-in soul pill. Maybe Ba Luo would wake up. Once Ba Luo woke up, Ba Meng's Dao heart would immediately be perfected, and it wouldn't be impossible for him to reach Dao Essence realm in an instant. After all, not everyone could use a place like the Dragon Cleansing Pool. As long as Ba Meng reached Dao Essence realm, with his help, it would be possible to kill this Deacon Xia. Therefore, in his message to Ba Meng, if he reached Dao Essence realm, he should immediately come to the Sea Dragon sacred city. If he didn't reach Dao Essence realm, he shouldn't come. If Ba Meng didn't come, he could only rely on the bead condensed from his spiritual consciousness to escape. Since he couldn't escape through the teleportation array, he could only use the Starry Sky Wheel to cross the Grand Essence Sea. Seeing Ning Cheng not speaking, everyone thought that Ning Cheng was afraid. Big Brother Qi, he's just a rogue cultivator. He was arrogant before and didn't put Sea Dragon's sacred city in his eyes at all. Xiuqian also thought that Ning Cheng was afraid and spoke with sarcasm. When Gong Qi heard this, he looked at Ning Cheng's silent appearance, and a cruel sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Since he was a rogue cultivator, then don't blame him for being rude. Late-stage Dao sculpting, it was just a joke in his eyes. He didn't directly attack Ning Cheng but raised his hand to grab Mo. He wanted to crush Mo to death in Sea Dragon Sacred City and then ask Ning Cheng where he got the courage to act wildly in Sea Dragon Sacred City. A Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor's domain pressed down, and Mo suddenly felt an endless terrifying force fall. His whole body trembled, and his legs kept swaying, as if he would fall to his knees at any time. Then, a spirit essence handprint with a bloody aura descended from the sky, almost covering the entire street. The surrounding cultivators retreated again. No one dared to stand up and speak. After Ning Cheng sent out the message, he saw the blood-colored handprint falling down. He snorted and took a step forward. The domain that was suppressing him and Mo cracked like an eggshell. Then Ning Cheng punched out. This punch directly blasted the space between him and Gong Qi into nothingness, and the fist shadow landed on Gong Qi's chest in an instant. When Gong Qi grabbed the handprint, he felt as if he was standing at the top of a waterfall, and everything under his feet was washed away by the waterfall. In merely an instant, the 30,000-foot waterfall suddenly rolled back, and a boundless aura mixed with violent divine essence energy smashed onto his chest instead. Gong Qi only heard the sound of his bones shattering inch by inch. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out. He directly hit the restriction at the entrance of a shop, creating a gap in the defensive restriction. With a plop, Gong Qi fell to the ground, and his whole body twitched on the ground. Ning Cheng's punch contained the great Tao laws. Even if Gong Qi was a Tao nourishment holy emperor, he wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. Chapter 1037. Since Gong Qi had been crippled by Ning Cheng's punch, he estimated that he would need at least a few months to recover. Xiao Qian, who had called Gong Qi over to help, was even more dumbfounded. She guessed that Ning Cheng's cultivation level was not low and was most likely at the late-stage Tao birth. However, even if Ning Cheng was at the late-stage Tao birth, big brother Gong Qi would not be weaker than him. However, she had never expected that Ning Cheng would cripple Gong Qi with just one punch. Could a late-stage Tao birth cultivator do this? Gong Qi trembled as he took out a pill and swallowed it, while staring at Ning Cheng in shock. The woman from the Silver Dragon clan, who had been watching the fight from the side, on seeing Ning Cheng seriously injure Gong Qi with a single punch, immediately threw out an optical message in panic. Ning Cheng also felt relieved when he saw the other Silver Dragon clan woman, who came with Gong Qi, throw out a message. He had shown mercy to Gong Qi otherwise, he could have killed Gong Qi with a single punch. He had purposely dealt a heavy blow so that Gong Qi could call for reinforcements. If the Silver Dragon tribe really came and Ba Meng didn't, he could go with the Silver Dragon tribe to solve the problem. He knew Gong Huayu in the Silver Dragon race. As long as he showed his identity and called out to Gong Huayu, he would most likely be treated as an honored guest. No matter how ruthless Deacon Gorge was, he wouldn't dare to cause trouble at the Silver Dragon clan. This way, he could help Mo and avoid the Deacon of the Gorge. Why not? However, things might not necessarily go in the direction Ning Cheng expected. Although Ning Cheng's gaze fell on Xiao Qian, Gong Qi and the others, his attention remained on Deacon Gorge. After he had injured Gong Qi with a punch, he saw Deacon Gorge walking over quickly. He could even feel Deacon Gorge's sharp killing intent. Oh no, Deacon Xia was going to fight for justice just like him. As long as this fellow came over, he would definitely say that he was ruthless and help Gong Qi this way. Deacon Gorge could get rid of him and curry favor with Gong Qi. Ning Cheng secretly felt that he had miscalculated. At this moment, the woman with the veil over her face also walked over. She stared at Ning Cheng and spoke with a deep voice. Is your cultivation really at the Tao sculpting realm? Ning Cheng didn't bother to answer this woman's words. He pulled Mo and said, hurry up and come with me. Otherwise, we won't have a good time. Not only was Mo rescued by Ning Cheng, but she also implicated Ning Cheng, causing her to feel guilty in her heart. Now that Ning Cheng wanted to take him away, he naturally would not raise any objections. Seeing Ning Cheng pulling Mo away, Deacon Xia pushed through the crowd and rushed over. Ning Cheng did not hesitate to pull Mo into the nearest luxurious rest stop and directly spoke, I want the best room. The waiter of the rest stop had also seen Ning Cheng fighting with the Silver Dragon clan's Gong Qi outside. Therefore, when Ning Cheng asked for the best room, he did not dare to agree. I'm sorry, fellow Taoist, but our rest stop's rooms are all full, the waiter quickly said. How many spirit crystals does the most expensive room here cost per day? Ning Cheng didn't care about it and instead asked about the price. 9,000 high-grade divine crystals. The shop assistant answered quickly. Ning Cheng directly threw a storage bag onto the counter and spoke, I will wait here, as long as there is an empty room I will immediately go in. With that, Ning Cheng pulled Mo to the guest waiting hall of the rest stop. Ning Cheng believed that even if the Deacon of the Gorge had a lot of courage, he would not dare to start a fight here. This rest stop was filled with array formations and restrictions. As long as Deacon Xia dared to make a move here, someone would immediately deal with him. Anyone who could open such a big rest stop in the Sea Dragon Sacred City would not be an ordinary person. The waiter naturally knew what Ning Qing meant. Ning Qing wanted to avoid trouble in the rest stop, so he could not drive Ning Qing away. Ning Qing had even dared to fight with Gong Qi, let alone a small fellow like him. At this time, he could only send out a message to inform his deacon of the rest stop. Mo was not good with words, nor did he have any schemes. Ning Qing pulled him in and saw Ning Qing sit down, so he stood beside Ning Qing. Ning Qing had offended people because of him. If something happened to Ning Qing, he decided to pay with his life. Do you think the Silver Dragon clan will not find you if you hide here? Or if you hide here, they will not dare to make a move? The female cultivator with a veil over her face walked in and stood opposite Ning Qing. Like most people, she also thought that Ning Qing had entered the rest stop to avoid the Silver Dragon clan's experts. Ning Qing smiled and spoke in an indifferent manner. Maybe we can hide from it? This kind of thing, who can say clearly? My name is Yin Yueshu, and I come from the Sunken Fish Palace. What I want to tell you is that the woman you just taught a lesson is called Zhu Xiuqian. She is my junior sister. The woman with a veil over her face spoke in a cold tone. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness scanned the Deacon Gorge outside the rest stop. He took out a teacup unhurriedly, poured a cup of spirit tea, and handed it to Mo. Mo shook his head, indicating that there was no need. Ning Qing did not stand on ceremony. He took a sip of the spirit tea and placed it on the jade table in front of him. Oh, do you mean that you want to make a move on me here? This place is not far from the Sunken Fish Palace. I want to invite you to the Sunken Fish Palace, said Yin Yueshu as she stared at Ning Qing. She was sure that Ning Qing was at most at the peak Dao modeling. A peak Dao modeling could actually injure a mid-stage Dao birth sacred emperor with one punch. She absolutely did not believe that there was no problem. If Ning Qing did not agree, she would make a move immediately. She had to take Ning Qing away before the Silver Dragon clan arrived. After she and Aunt Xian had participated in the Elixir discussion conference, Aunt Xian had asked her not to go into seclusion and come out to gain experience like junior sister Zhongming Yuxiu. She also knew what Aunt Xian meant. Aunt Xian probably felt that she was not very mature in dealing with people, which was why she had asked her to come out. In fact, she also wanted to come out and look for Ning Qing. She had once boasted that Ning Qing would kneel at her feet and willingly work for the Sunken Fish Palace. Unfortunately, she did not have a chance to use her skills, as she had not met Ning Qing after the Elixir discussion conference. After a few years of experience, she had finally realized her shortcomings. At least she was no longer as arrogant as before. Otherwise, she would not have been with the Silver Dragon clan's Gong Qi. With her superior intelligence, she quickly formed her own opinions about the people and things around her. Because of this, she wanted to take Ning Qing away before the Silver Dragon clan arrived. Ning Qing was a Dao modeling itinerant cultivator, so it would be strange if he did not have secrets. Since he had secrets, he could not tell the Silver Dragon clan. Ning Qing's heart stirred. Going to the Sunken Fish Palace was not bad. He also had acquaintances in the Sunken Fish Palace, and the Sunken Fish Palace owed him a favor. However, Deacon Xia was waiting outside. Once he went to the Sunken Fish Palace, Deacon Xia would probably make a move immediately. I can go with you to the Sunken Fish Palace, but I have offended someone. What if someone intercepts us on the way to the teleportation array? Ning Qing immediately said. He saw Deacon Xia walk in and seemed ready to make a move. Yin Yueshu was slightly stunned. She had not expected Ning Qing to be so easy to talk to. She had been prepared to make a move, but Ning Qing did not need her to do so. After she had suggested it, Ning Qing had agreed. Don't worry. The Silver Dragon clan will still give me face. I promise not to let them hurt you as long as you come with me, Yin Yueshu said proudly. After a few years of trial tests, she had become much more mature in dealing with people. However, she could not get rid of the pride in her heart no matter what. She was at the early stage Dao transformation realm, so she believed that she would not be afraid of a late stage Dao transformation realm expert. Would a primordial Tao sacred emperor from the Silver Dragon clan dare to make a move on her? Unless he wanted to cause a dispute between the two major sections. Mo, if there's nothing else, come with me, Ning Qing said as he turned his head to speak to Mo. Ning Qing turned to Mo and spoke. Mo was a martial cultivator without any backing. Once he left, Gong Qi and that bitch Zhu Xiuqian would definitely play with Mo to death. Yes. Mo did not say anything else to not implicate Ning Qing. He did not talk much, but he was not a fool. If he wanted to implicate Ning Qing, he would have done so long ago. It would be nonsense to say that he would not implicate Ning Qing now. Ning Qing walked to the counter and took back the 9,000 divine crystals he had given to the shop assistant. Then he walked out of the inn with Mo and Yin Yueshi. Upon seeing Ning Qing leave, the shop assistant heaved a sigh of relief. Stop. Yin Yueshu and Ning Qing had just walked out of the inn when they were stopped by a man in a yellow robe. Yin Yueshu's eyes turned cold. What's the matter? She could see that the man in the yellow robe had a higher cultivation level than her. He was even a primordial Tao sacred emperor expert. So what if he was a primordial Tao sacred emperor? How could he dare make a move on her in the Sea Dragon's sacred city? This person went too far just now. He actually seriously injured Taoist Gong Qi from the Silver Dragon clan. I couldn't stand it and wanted to seek justice for Taoist Gong Qi, Deacon Xia said as he pointed at Ning Qing. He also knew that this excuse had expired. Unfortunately, he could not find a more perfect excuse. Yin Yueshu snorted coldly. This matter started because of Zhu Xiuqian from the Sunken Fish Palace, so the Sunken Fish Palace intervened. Deacon Xia's face was gloomy. He had not expected that Yin Yueshu would come from the Sunken Fish Palace of the 10 major sects. If he had known earlier, he would have stopped Ning Qing from seriously injuring Gong Qi. I received a favor from a senior from the Silver Dragon clan in my early years. Please forgive me, fairy from the Sunken Fish Palace. After I repay this favor, I will hand him over to you. Deacon Xia took a deep breath and said word by word. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand to grab Ning Qing. He knew that it would not do him any good to drag things out. The most practical thing was to take Ning Qing away as soon as possible. Yin Yueshu had not expected that such a thing would happen as soon as she had promised Ning Qing. If things had not been so coincidental, she would have thought that she had been used. Only Ning Qing knew that Yin Yueshu had really been used by him. Boom. Yin Yueshu's mountain and river plate did not even transform before it was blasted away by the rainbow light that Deacon Xia had casually taken out. Yin Yueshu's entire body was also blasted away and she spat out a few blood arrows in the air. The powerful divine essence blasted off the veil on her face, revealing her delicate and beautiful face. No matter how arrogant she was, she could not even withstand half a move from Deacon Xia. Yin Yueshu, who was still in the air, sent out a message. This was not something that she could be proud of. Someone had dared to make a move on her in the Sea Dragon's sacred city. That person was definitely a great enemy of the Sunken Fish Palace. She, an early-stage Tao transformation cultivator, did not need to deal with such a person. Deacon Xia acted as if he had not seen the message and directly grabbed Ning Qing. He wanted to take Ning Qing away as quickly as possible. Once the people from the Silver Dragon clan and the Sunken Fish Palace came, he was afraid that he would not be able to leave. Chapter 1038. Ning Qing knew about Deacon Gorge's attack and reacted immediately. However, he couldn't resist Deacon Gorge's terrifying spirit essence. With a crack, Ning Qing's domain shield shattered instantly. Unlike Yin Yueshu, who had been blasted away, Ning Qing was suppressed by a powerful domain and couldn't move at all. Mo, who was standing in the distance, saw Ning Qing's bones cracking. Seeing that he was about to be caught by Deacon Gorge's huge handprint, he immediately rushed up and slammed down with his iron rod. An eternal realm warrior attacking a primordial Tao divine emperor's spirit essence suppression was more outrageous than hitting a rock with an egg. With a puff sound, Mo's internal organs and bones were crushed. He spat out pieces of his internal organs and flew out like a kite. He hit the defensive restriction of another shop and collapsed to the ground, unable to move. All this was because he had touched the edge of Deacon Gorge's spirit essence suppression hand. Deacon Gorge hadn't diverted any energy to deal with him. Otherwise, even 100 MO would have turned into nothingness. Although Mo's attack didn't have any effect on Deacon Gorge, it had an effect on Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was suppressed by Deacon Gorge's spirit essence hand. Under Deacon Gorge's law sacred ability, he didn't know how to resist. Apart from taking out the bead, he could only wait for death. Ning Cheng naturally didn't want to wait for death. He took out the bead without hesitation. The moment he was about to take out the bead, Mo's iron rod slammed down and sent Mo flying. At the same time, he received a message from Ba Meng. Ba Meng was on his way. However, Ba Meng was too far away, so Ning Cheng could only rely on himself. Deacon Gorge's spirit essence suppression was perfect, but under Mo's iron rod, Ning Cheng caught a trace of nomological Dao runes. It was like a huge cow being bitten by an ant, causing the cow's muscles to change slightly. Deacon Gorge was this huge bull. His nomological spirit technique had only left a few traces, but Ning Cheng had managed to catch it. Ning Cheng's time wheel sacred ability condensed in an instant. Dozens of time wheels bombarded these traces, and a gap appeared in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng rushed out. Under Deacon Gorge's spirit essence suppression, the powerful force made Ning Cheng spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. However, this was more than enough for Ning Cheng to escape from the suppression of the Gorge's Deacon. As such, Ning Cheng naturally would not use the bead. "It's you?" Yin Yueshu finally recognized Ning Cheng, as the disguise on Ning Cheng's face had been blasted away by Deacon Xia, just like her veil. Ning Cheng turned into a shadow and flashed past Yin Yueshu. Yin Yueshu could only hear Ning Cheng's voice transmission before he left. "Help me take care of my friend. I owe you a favor." By the time Yin Yueshu reacted, Ning Cheng had disappeared from the street. Ning Cheng crazily rushed out of the Sea Dragon Sacred City. Staying in the Sea Dragon Sacred City would only lead to his death. The direction he wanted to go was the direction where Ba Meng came from. Xia Ji was extremely shocked that Ning Cheng broke free from his god art. Ning Cheng was many times stronger than ordinary Dao molding divine emperors. Now that Ning Cheng rushed out of the Sea Dragon Sacred City, he felt slightly relieved. As long as Ning Cheng rushed out of the Sea Dragon Sacred City, he could catch Ning Cheng again. Sea Dragon Sacred City was different from the secret bazaar. It was not hidden in the sea. Instead, it was suspended on the surface of the Grand Essence Sea. From afar, it looked like a huge mountain. After Ning Cheng rushed out of the Sea Dragon Sacred City, he went directly above the Grand Essence Sea. Xia Ji was too close behind him, so he could only desperately use the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. He had no time to bring out the starry sky wheel. The twin wings of the heavenly clouds couldn't maintain its speed for a long time, and it wouldn't take long for Deacon Xia to catch up. Ning Cheng sighed helplessly. It seemed that Mo's desperate stick couldn't get him to keep the spiritual consciousness energy bead. He didn't know how long it would take for Ba Meng to get here. "Don't worry, I'm here." Ning Cheng was still thinking about when Ba Meng would come over when a voice transmission fell into Ning Cheng's ears. Ba Meng didn't have a spaceship under his feet. His entire body came over through the void, and his Dao runes circulated without any restraint. Ning Cheng was overjoyed. Ba Meng had finally advanced to the primordial Dao realm. However, his Dao runes were overflowing. Apparently, he hadn't completely stabilized in the primordial Dao realm. Ning Cheng didn't need to call out to him at all. As soon as Ba Meng arrived, his sun-moon pagoda transformed into 2 rays of light. The 2 rays of light instantly covered the entire space and shot towards Deacon Xia. Deacon Xia was in a hurry to chase after Ning Cheng and was about to take control of Ning Cheng. As long as he could take control of Ning Cheng, he would immediately escape. But he didn't expect that someone would suddenly attack him at this time. Not only did Ning Cheng not feel Ba Meng's sudden arrival, but Deacon Xia also only felt it when Ba Meng attacked. Even if Ba Meng's Dao rune foundation wasn't stable, he was still a Dao-confirming holy emperor who had stepped into the second step. What's more, Ba Meng had always been a bloodthirsty killer in the Grand Essence Sea. His strength wasn't any weaker than Deacon Xia's. With the Sun-Moon Pagoda suppressing him, how could Deacon Xia dare to continue chasing after Ning Cheng? The weapon in his hand rolled out and transformed into several rays of light that blocked Ba Meng's Sun-Moon Pagoda. Ning Cheng didn't try to escape. Only at this time did he see that Deacon Xia's weapon was a 6 harmonies flower bead. Boom! The two attacks collided, creating a vacuum in the surrounding sea. It even blasted open a huge ravine on the seabed. The entire space trembled under the impact of the two attacks. Ning Cheng swallowed the explosive spirit pill without hesitation and directly brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow. When Deacon Xia saw Ning Cheng's 5-colored star splitter arrow, he suddenly felt his scalp tingle. If it was a one-on-one fight, he wouldn't fear Ning Cheng's 5-colored star splitter arrow. But now, there was a Tao Essence powerhouse who had the same cultivation as him helping Ning Cheng. Coupled with Ning Cheng's 5-colored star splitter arrow, there was no other way for him to go but to fall. No matter how good the things on Ning Cheng were, they weren't as good as his life. Deacon Xia grabbed a talisman and was about to bring it out. If he faced Ning Cheng alone, even if Ning Cheng's 5-colored star splitter arrow locked onto him, he could still bring out the talisman and escape with Ning Cheng's current cultivation. Even if he didn't escape, he could still block the arrow. Unfortunately, there was also Ba Meng. Ba Meng was only surprised that Ning Cheng could bring out the 5-colored star splitter arrow, but he quickly got used to it. Ning Cheng already had the 7 Bridges spirit technique, so what if he had another 5-colored star splitter arrow? The moment Deacon Xia brought out the talisman, Ba Meng's Sun and Moon Pagoda's Sun and Moon radiance erupted. The Tao charm of the Sun and Moon wheel blasted down, directly suppressing the rainbow light transformed from Deacon Xia's 6 harmonies pearls. Even the surrounding space was locked down by the Sun and Moon Pagoda at this moment. Deacon Xia's expression changed drastically when he saw that he couldn't activate the escape talisman in a short time. He knew that he had made an unforgivable mistake. The longer the 5-colored star splitter arrow dragged on, the less likely it was for him to escape. He shouldn't have brought out the escape talisman immediately. He should have first escaped the range of the 5-colored star splitter arrow's killing intent, and then brought out the escape talisman. The gray killing intent instantly gathered, and the majestic and violent 5-colored star splitter arrow's killing intent turned countless times more violent than before. The arrow intent exuding a deathly aura seemed to contain a sense of unhappiness. Unhappiness that Deacon Xia had once escaped. Unhappiness that under its killing intent, someone still had to use an escape talisman to escape. As the arrow faded, the 5 colors spread, the killing intent gathered, and death spread. Stop, I apologize to you. You can't touch me. I'm a deacon of the Sea Sky Pavilion. I'll give you all the shares of the Sea Sky Pavilion. After understanding that the 5-colored star splitter arrow had completely locked onto him, Deacon Xia went completely crazy. For the first time, he felt panic and unease. For the first time, he felt so afraid. He longed to do it all over again. If he could do it all over again, he would never have chased after Ning Cheng alone. Even if he wanted to deal with Ning Cheng, he would have to bring a few helpers. Ning Cheng's killing intent was as firm as the 5-colored star splitter arrow. Even if Deacon Xia screamed, it couldn't stop his determination to kill Deacon Xia. Whoosh! The black arrow, which had completely disappeared, almost tore the entire void into fragments. It rolled up endless void killing intent and blasted out. At this moment, the arrow disappeared, and the 5-colored longbow also faded into the void. The entire space was filled with boundless killing intent, and only a gray that represented death. No bow, no arrow, no stars, no splitter. Even if Deacon Xia was a Tao Essence powerhouse, he couldn't compare to a 1-star powerhouse. The gray killing intent caused his glabella to explode, and only Deacon Xia's unwilling eyes remained open. However, his eyes lost their luster and were replaced by despair and regret. Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed Deacon Xia's ring and the 6 harmonies flower bead, feeling completely relieved. Deacon Xia was like a nail nailed to his back, making him feel uncomfortable. Now that he killed Deacon Xia, he felt much more relaxed. The surroundings returned to normal, as if nothing had happened here. Ba Meng, however, knew that Ning Qing had just killed a Dao Essence powerhouse. No one would believe that a Dao molding Holy Emperor could kill a Dao Essence powerhouse. In fact, he had seen Ning Qing kill a Dao Essence powerhouse with his own eyes. Maybe if he hadn't restrained this Dao Essence powerhouse, Ning Qing wouldn't have been able to kill him. But in other words, even if he was in a stalemate with a Dao Essence powerhouse, a Dao Actualization Holy Emperor might not be able to kill this Dao Essence powerhouse. Brother Ning Qing, I haven't seen you for a few years, and your strength has improved a lot. In a few more years, I'm afraid I won't even be able to see your shadow. Ba Meng put away his magic weapon and stepped through the void. Ning Qing laughed. Brother Ba, congratulations on reaching the Dao Essence realm. Congratulations to Ba Luo for returning to your side. Ba Meng also laughed. Fortunately, I have a talisman in my hand, and I'm not far from you. I rushed over as soon as I received your message. Otherwise, you would have been in trouble. He understood what Ning Qing meant. Since he had reached Dao Essence, it meant that Ba Luo had definitely woken up. Otherwise, his Dao heart wasn't perfect, and he wouldn't have reached Dao Essence so quickly. I wouldn't have been in trouble, but I can't vent the anger in my heart. So, I really have to thank you for saving me this time. Ning Qing smiled. Ba Meng waved his hand. We're brothers, why do we need to thank you? I don't know how long I'll have to thank you. Why didn't you come out of the Dark Nether realm? It's a long story. Let's go to the Sea Dragon Sacred City. I have a friend in the Sea Dragon Sacred City. He was injured and I want to see him, Ning Qing replied. Chapter 1039. As soon as the two entered Sea Dragon's sacred city, Ning Qing saw 3 people walking over quickly. It seemed like they were going to leave the city. One of them was a tall, silver-haired woman who had come with Gong Qi. Following the silver-haired woman was a Dao Essence Divine Emperor and a Dao Actualization Divine Emperor. Ning Qing didn't see Yin Yueshu and Zhu Xiuqian from Sunken Fish Palace. It's him. He injured Big Brother Gong. The tall silver-haired woman pointed at Ning Qing. When Deacon Xia attacked, this silver-haired woman had been staring at Ning Qing. She had also seen Ning Qing's mask being blown off. At first glance, Ning Qing was able to recognize him. Ning Qing didn't change his appearance. Since Deacon Xia had been killed, no one would suddenly attack him. Now that he was with Ba Meng, as a Dao Essence Pill Saint, he didn't need to change his appearance. You injured my Silver Dragon clan's Gong Qi? That Dao Essence Divine Emperor stared at Ning Qing and asked coldly. He had wanted to attack Ning Qing when he saw him. However, he found that things seemed to be out of his expectations. Ning Qing had a Dao Essence Divine Emperor like Ba Meng. Although he could see that Ba Meng's Dao Essence Dao runes hadn't stabilized, he was indeed a second-step Dao Vindication Divine Emperor. That's right, I did it, Ning Qing said straightforwardly. He didn't kill Gong Qi as long as he brought out Gong Huayu. He believed that this matter could be easily resolved. Your border ocean red hair Ba Meng. You're a Dao Essence Divine Emperor. That Dao Actualization Divine Emperor finally recognized Ba Meng and said in shock. There was a hint of envy in his tone. A Dao Actualization Divine Emperor who was once a Dao Actualization Divine Emperor like him suddenly stood at another height. Ba Meng said in a deep voice, That's right, I'm Red Hair Ba Meng. Ning Qing is my friend. His business is my business. Ba Meng didn't know that Ning Qing and Silver Dragon clan's Gong Huayu were friends. Now that he stopped Ning Qing and said that Ning Qing had injured Gong Qi, it was clearly a Silver Dragon clan expert. It seemed that Ning Qing had gotten into big trouble this time. However, he didn't care. Without Ning Qing, Ba Meng and his son would have been long gone. Now that Ning Qing needed his help, he, Ba Meng, was naturally duty-bound. The Dao Essence Divine Emperor from the Silver Dragon clan glanced at Ba Meng and said calmly to Ning Qing, No matter who you are, you have to give an explanation for hurting my Silver Dragon clan's disciple. So, you are no exception. Obviously, Ba Meng's words didn't make this Dao Essence Divine Emperor let Ning Qing go. Ning Qing showed a calm smile. Naturally, I will give your Silver Dragon clan an explanation. Now I'm going to see my friend. When my friend is fine, I'll give you an explanation. The Tao Essence Divine Emperor glanced at Ba Meng again and finally nodded. As long as Ning Qing did not try to escape, then it would be fine. When Ning Qing returned to the original place, Mo had already stood up. Other than looking a bit dispirited, his injuries did not seem to be serious. It's you? Mo looked at Ning Qing in confusion. Do you know me? Ning Qing asked. Mo nodded. When I went to buy jade slips in the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, you followed behind me. I didn't expect to meet you in the Sea Dragon Sacred City. There was one more thing he didn't say. Back then, Ning Qing was at most similar to him. But now, he was far worse than Ning Qing. At this moment, Mo also understood why Ning Qing was willing to help him despite not knowing him. There was a kind of friendship called mutual appreciation. Ning Qing appreciated him, and he also appreciated Ning Qing's temperament. Ning Qing sighed inwardly. Mo's memory was too powerful. Back then, he had just followed behind him. The two of them hadn't even spoken half a word, yet Mo could remember it so clearly. Yin Yueshu and Sun Rushuan stood next to Mo. Zhu Xiuqian lowered her head and stood at the back. She had clearly been scolded. Greetings, Pill Sage Ning. When Sun Rushuan saw Ning Qing come over, she immediately walked over with a smile and greeted him with a cultivator's greeting. Yueshu greets Pill Sage Ning. Yin Yueshu also hurriedly came over to greet him. The arrogance on her face had long disappeared, replaced by gentleness and gentleness. Ning Qing hurriedly returned the greeting and said, "Thank you, Senior Sister Tsin, for helping my friend. Thank you, Junior Sister Yin." Ning Qing had appeared as a primordial Tao alchemy saint, so it was not against the rules for him to call Sun Rushuan Senior Sister. As for Yin Yueshu, calling her Junior Sister meant that he thought highly of her. Sun Rushuan didn't point out that it was inappropriate for Ning Qing to call her Senior Sister and then Junior Sister Yin Yueshu. Instead, she giggled and said, "I wonder if Alchemy Saint Ning is free. If you are, the Sunken Fish Palace welcomes you." Ning Qing smiled slightly and didn't agree or refuse. He only said, "Let's find a rest stop and sit down to talk slowly." Ba Meng, who had originally thought that there would be a fierce battle, hadn't expected Sun Rushuan to be so respectful to Ning Qing. Besides, Sun Rushuan seemed to think that it was normal for Ning Qing to call her Senior Sister. Ba Meng naturally knew who Sun Rushuan was. She was a primordial Tao expert of the Sunken Fish Palace. Ba Meng knew that Ning Qing was an alchemy master, but how could Ning Qing be an alchemy saint? Not only was Ba Meng puzzled, but the few people from the Silver Dragon clan also looked at Ning Qing and Sun Rushuan in confusion. The primordial Tao's sacred emperor from the Silver Dragon clan frowned and didn't say anything. Sun Rushuan and Ning Qing had a close relationship. If Gong Qi was beaten up, it would be hard to get justice. Wait, Alchemy Saint Ning? The primordial Tao's sacred emperor instantly came to a realization. Wasn't this Ning Qing, who had helped the young palatial master refine the 6-yin soul pill? Alchemy Saint Ning, who had been in the limelight at the Alchemy Discussion Conference and represented the Great Essence Realm in the 5 Realms Pill competition. After understanding this, the primordial Tao's sacred emperor from the Silver Dragon clan broke out in cold sweat. Fortunately, he hadn't directly attacked Ning Qing. If he had, he would have been finished. After understanding Ning Qing's identity, the primordial Tao's sacred emperor hurriedly stepped forward and said with cupped fists, "I'm Gong Shimao from the Silver Dragon clan. Greetings, Alchemy Saint Ning." Everyone in the Silver Dragon clan knew that Ning Qing had helped the Silver Dragon clan's young palatial master Gong Huayu refine a cauldron of 6-yin soul pill. After Gong Shimao greeted them, the other Tao Actualization Divine Emperor and the silver-haired woman also cupped their fists and greeted Ning Qing. Gong Qi's status in the Silver Dragon clan was very high, but it couldn't be higher than the young palatial master Gong Huayu. Unless they were stupid, no one from the Silver Dragon clan would become enemies with Ning Qing, whom Gong Huayu regarded as his most valuable friend. As Ning Qing's friend, Ba Meng was also full of doubts, but he didn't ask. Seeing Ning Qing's group enter a nearby inn, Gong Qi's face turned livid with anger. He was also a direct descendant of the Silver Dragon clan. Now, he finally saw clearly that he was worse than a dog compared to Gong Huayu. His father, Gong Jiufei, was Gong Huayu's uncle. If Gong Huayu hadn't stopped him, the Silver Dragon clan's young palatial master would definitely be his. After the group entered the inn's private room, Gong Shimao immediately apologized to Ning Cheng. Then, Zhu Xiuqian and Yueshu, and the others also stood up to apologize to Ning Cheng. After everyone was polite, Sun Rushuan said, "I heard from Yueshu that someone is against alchemy sage Ning. I wonder if the Sunken Fish Palace can help?" And the Silver Dragon clan. Alchemy sage Ning is an important guest of the Silver Dragon clan. How dare someone be so ignorant as to make things difficult for alchemy sage Ning? Gong Shimao didn't show any weakness and immediately stood up to express his friendship. Ning Cheng smiled slightly. That person later realized that he was in the wrong, so I persuaded him to leave. Sun Rushuan glanced at Ba Meng, who was sitting next to Ning Cheng, and thought to herself, kill him. If alchemy sage Ning could suffer a loss, then he wouldn't be the Ning Cheng I know. Taoist Ning, you must be going to participate in the 5 Realms pill competition, right? Gong Shimao also wanted to build a relationship with Ning Cheng and took the initiative to ask. Ning Cheng nodded and said, yes. Because I've been too far away recently, I rushed back in a hurry and used the teleportation array of the Sea Dragon Sacred City. At that time, I would have to use the teleportation array of the Silver Dragon clan and the Sunken Fish Palace. This time, without waiting for Sun Rushuan to speak, Gong Shimao quickly spoke up. Naturally, there's no problem. Alchemy Sage Ning can use my Silver Dragon clan's teleportation array at any time. Young Palace Master hasn't come out of seclusion yet. If Alchemy Sage Ning wants to, you can come to my Silver Dragon clan's seat of honor. Ning Cheng saw that Sun Rushuan seemed to want to speak, so he simply said, my friend, Association Master Cheng, got poisoned. I'm in a hurry to return to Heaven Essence Sacred City, so I can't. Ning Cheng's words stopped abruptly before he could finish them. He suddenly thought of why Ching Ho Tian got poisoned. It was definitely to lure him out. Now that he exposed himself in the Sea Dragon Sacred City, once the person who lured him out learned about it, would he be able to reach Heaven Essence Sacred City safely? Thinking of this, Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. He had just killed the Gorge Deacon who chased him for hundreds of millions of miles, but he still found that he wasn't safe. If his identity hadn't been exposed, he might have been able to reach Heaven Essence Sacred City safely. But now it seemed that he wouldn't be able to reach Heaven Essence Sacred City safely. Sun Rushuan and Gong Shimao were both old foxes. So when Ning Cheng suddenly stopped, the two immediately understood what was going on. When Ning Cheng mentioned Cheng Hotian's name, he suddenly stopped. Apparently, he thought of something. Cheng Hotian got poisoned by the mark bone poison, which meant that Ning Cheng could refine the heaven-extending mark bone pill. With such a coincidence, if Ning Cheng said that it had nothing to do with Ning Cheng, they wouldn't believe it. Dao friend Ning, my Sunken Fish Palace's Palace Master Luan is going to Heaven Essence Sacred City. I will also accompany the Palace Master. If Dao friend Ning is willing, we can travel together. Sun Rushuan immediately made a decision after grasping the problem. Gong Shimao also understood the problem. Although he felt anxious, he couldn't do anything about it. Silver Dragon clan's only primordial chaos Holy Emperor was still in seclusion, and he was only at the middle stage Dao Essence realm. Ning Cheng also had an early stage Dao Essence realm cultivator by his side. He didn't know if Ning Cheng would look at him or not. Regardless of whether Ning Cheng looked at him or not, Gong Shimao had no choice but to cup his fists and say, I also plan to go to Heaven Essence Sacred City. Moreover, my Silver Dragon clan is prepared to fully support Pill Sage Ning's participation in the 5 Realms Pill competition. I wonder if I can accompany Dao friend Ning? Ning Cheng understood the meaning of these two. Of course, he wouldn't refuse. He stood up and cupped his fists. Heaven Essence Sacred City is a long way away. With more people it would be much safer. After I reach Heaven Essence Sacred City, I'll still have some time. I wonder if there's anything I can help Senior Apprentice Sister Tsin and Brother Gong? Sun Rushuan and Gong Shimao felt overjoyed. The reason why they said so much was because they were waiting for Ning Cheng to say this. Chapter 1040. Ning Cheng was a primordial Tao alchemy saint, so he naturally wanted to ask Ning Cheng for alchemy. However, Sun Rushuan and Gong Shimao only asked Ning Cheng to refine a few batches of medicinal pills for them. They didn't say anything about the medicinal pills. Obviously, the two of them did not want to let the other know the name of the pill that they wanted Ning Cheng to refine. Ning Cheng also understood the truth behind this, as the few of them interjected into the topic, and the conversation was quite congenial. Because Ning Cheng didn't want to stay in the Sea Dragon Sacred City for too long, after everyone chatted for a while, Ning Cheng proposed to head to the Heaven Essence Sacred City immediately. Since Ning Cheng wanted to leave, Sun Rushuan and Gong Shimao naturally had no objections. "Mo, my name is Ning Cheng and I am also a pill master. Do you want to come with me to the Heaven Essence Sacred City now, or do you want to stay in the Sea Dragon Sacred City?" Ning Cheng looked at martial cultivator Mo beside him. Mo bowed to Ning Cheng and said, "After leaving the Sea Dragon Sacred City, I plan to head to the Grand Essence Sea to gain experience." Hearing that Mo didn't want to go to Heaven Essence Sacred City, Ning Cheng didn't care about it. He just stood up and said goodbye to Mo. Mo was a martial cultivator, and martial cultivators lived the life of an ascetic monk. Thousand Leaves Sacred City was located in the northernmost part of the Grand Essence Domain, on the southern shore of the Grand Essence Sea. This was also the place with the most teleportation arrays. Whether it was from the Grand Essence Sea to the Grand Essence Domain or from other places to the Grand Essence Domain, one had to pass through Thousand Leaves Sacred City. If Ning Cheng had teleported from the Divine Sea City before, he would have had to pass through the Thousand Leaves Sacred City. Apart from him, Ba Meng, Gong Shimao, and Sun Rushuan, there was also Palace Master Luan. Palatial Lord Luan was the only primordial chaos expert among the five. Palatial Lord Luan's appearance was not inferior to Inueshu's. She was also a stunning woman. However, a pair of evil almond-shaped eyes ruined her beautiful appearance, making her look somewhat cold. In fact, from the moment Ning Cheng saw Palace Master Luan in the Sunken Fish Palace, he had not heard her speak much. Rather than saying that they were traveling together, it would be better to say that they were here to help Ning Cheng with his alchemy, as well as fulfilling their bodyguard duties. After arriving at the Thousand Leaves Sacred City, Ning Cheng became even more careful. He knew that if the person who lured him out wanted to make a move, it would definitely be in Thousand Leaves Holy City. Other than the Thousand Leaves Holy City, there was no better place to strike. The reason why Ning Cheng said this was because Ning Cheng felt sure that the Sunken Fish Palace and the Silver Dragon clan wouldn't ask him to refine Tao transformation pills. Even if they did, there wouldn't be too many Tao transformation pills. Since these two sects were so friendly with him, they definitely wanted him to refine primordial Tao pills. Ning Cheng believed that even if these two sects wanted him to refine primordial Tao pills, it wouldn't be a difficult pill like the 6-in Soul pill. Although he had refined the 6-in Soul pill before, Ning Cheng knew the process very well. Although he was infinitely close to becoming a primordial Tao pill sage, he still wasn't a primordial Tao pill sage. According to common reasoning, these two sects wanted him to refine strategic medicinal pills to improve the strength of their sections. It was most likely a Tao pill that could help one comprehend the primordial Tao realm. With the heritage of big sects like the Sunken Fish Palace and the Silver Dragon clan, after countless years of accumulation, the materials for primordial Tao pills naturally wouldn't be lacking. As long as he quoted an ordinary price, such as splitting it in half. In other words, to refine a batch of medicinal pills, he would need 2 batches of divine grasses. In this way, he would have enough divine grasses to practice. Ning Cheng had said that he would soon become a primordial Tao pill sage. Unless Sun Rushuan and Gong Shimao had a problem with their brains, they just wanted him to refine a batch of primordial Tao pills that were extremely difficult to refine. If that was the case, he could only admit defeat. Ba Meng also smiled and didn't ask again. He had seen too many impossibilities from Ning Cheng, but he still couldn't figure out how Ning Cheng came out of the Dark Nether realm. Moreover, Ning Cheng had the 7 bridges spirit technique, the 5-colored star splitter arrow, the 6-in soul pill. Brother Ba, you go find a rest stop. I'll go to the pill association to see Union Master Cheng. Ning Cheng was worried about Ching Hotian's injuries. After all, he had been poisoned for several years. Ning Cheng naturally felt anxious. Ning Cheng didn't think that Ching Hotian would die. Ancestor Kong of the Void Star sect had been poisoned for countless years. But didn't he recover with the help of the sky-extending Mark Bone pill? Ba Meng shook his head. Although this is the Heaven Essence sacred city, I'll go with you. Ning Cheng understood Ba Meng's meaning and felt grateful in his heart. Friends and trading partners were different. He had made a deal with Tsun Rushuan and the others, and the deal was to ensure that he could reach the Heaven Essence sacred city. Now that he arrived at the Heaven Essence sacred city, Tsun Rushuan and the others had nothing to do with him. Ba Meng was his friend, and no matter what, Ba Meng would also worry about his safety. Okay, let's go together. Cheng Hotian wasn't the same as the other Pill Association elders. His cave was in the Pill Association. Pill Sage Ning. As soon as Ning Cheng arrived at the Pill Association, a surprised voice called out. Then, a beautiful figure rushed over and bowed to Ning Cheng. It's you? Congratulations on your promotion. Ning Cheng also recognized this female cultivator. When he came here to take the Pill Association's qualification card, this female cultivator had led the way. Looking at this female cultivator's robes, Ning Cheng understood that she was also the person in charge of this place. The female cultivator quickly spoke up. He Jia only managed to get to where she is today because of Pill Sage Ning. Pill Sage is back, what can I do for you? Take me to see Association Master Cheng. Ning Cheng nodded. Hearing that Ning Cheng wanted to see Ching Hotian, He Jia didn't feel surprised. However, a trace of reluctance appeared on her face. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. What's wrong? No, Pill Sage Ning, please come with me. He Jia had absolute respect for Ning Cheng. Since he had the ability, he shouldn't be arrogant. After passing through the Pill Sage Hall and entering the backyard, He Jia stopped at the entrance of a cave after walking for a few minutes. She bowed to Ning Cheng and said, Pill Sage Ning, this is Association Master Cheng's cave. Ning Cheng nodded and touched the restrictions at the entrance of the cave. When the restrictions opened, Ning Cheng didn't see Ching Hotian. Instead, he saw a middle-stage Dao Essence Holy Emperor. Ning Cheng had seen this fellow before. He had sat next to Ching Hotian during the pill discussion conference. Ning Cheng felt a little puzzled. This fellow didn't seem friendly to him, so why was he in Ching Hotian's cave? At the pill discussion conference, after Le Shizhen finished refining the Essence Meridian Crossing pill, this person had been pressuring him about why he didn't refine the pill. Ning Cheng only knew that this person was a high-ranking member of the Pill Union. As for his name and position, he didn't know. When this Dao Essence Holy Emperor saw Ning Cheng appear, he had an indifferent expression. Pill Sage Ning, Association Master Cheng was poisoned. You really came in time. This was a sarcastic remark. Cheng Hotian had been poisoned for 2 years, yet Ning Cheng had only just arrived. Ning Cheng didn't care about this fellow's sarcasm. He just said to He Jia, you can leave first. Many thanks. He Jia could sense the unfriendly atmosphere and quickly bowed and left. Ning Cheng suddenly had a feeling that Ba Meng had made the right decision to come with him. Wait. This Dao Essence Holy Emperor stopped Ba Meng, who was about to enter with Ning Cheng, and said with an indifferent tone, this is the Pill Union. Ning Cheng, you can go in. Those who came with you can only wait outside. Ning Cheng stared coldly at this Dao Essence Holy Emperor in front of him. I'll count to 3. If you don't scram, don't blame me for making a move. You dare. This Dao Essence Holy Emperor had just said 2 words when Ning Cheng brought out his long spear. Ba Meng didn't wait for Ning Cheng to speak. When Ning Cheng made his move, he also brought out his Sun Moon Pagoda, and a powerful aura enveloped the area. A Dao Essence Holy Emperor emitted killing intent in the Pill Union. This killing intent was instantly sensed by many experts. This mid-stage Dao Essence Holy Emperor's face turned livid. He didn't expect Ning Cheng to be so daring to use a magic treasure in the Pill Union. He wasn't afraid of Ning Cheng and Ba Meng, but because even if Ning Cheng made a move, he wouldn't be able to touch Ning Cheng. It was because of his identity as a Dao Essence Pill Sage. A Dao Essence Pill Sage's status in the Pill Union wasn't any lower than his. 3. Do it. Ning Cheng only counted to 3 before stabbing out with his long spear. Ba Meng's Sun Moon Pagoda's aura instantly pressed down on this mid-stage Dao Essence Holy Emperor. Even though Ba Meng deliberately didn't let his aura leak out, the surrounding array formation restrictions made cracking sounds. It seemed like it would crack in the next moment. Ning Cheng, hurry up and stop. Si Chen Chiu Tian's voice came in time. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.